murdered, and somehow they get no time. Even if you accidentally kill somebody, you are still a murderer, especially when you plead guilty to felony murder. Marijuana will get you more time in jail than killing somebody, especially when it comes to a black man here in America, unfortunately.
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. Join the movement. Listen to The Tory Lowe Show on 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, the locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityWealthManagement.com. Brandis Daniel is looking to boost diversity in the fashion world.
Department stores would carry hundreds of designers, but less than 1% of those designers were designers of color.
That's Daniel speaking to Bloomberg about a realization she had years ago about the lack of diverse talent in fashion that led her to creating Harlem's Fashion Row. It's an agency focused on building a bridge between big brands and designers of color.
We've donated over $1 million to HBCU fashion departments, thanks to companies like Gap. We've gotten incredible support from Nike and Nordstrom, and so many other companies have allowed us to be able to support these HBCU fashion departments as well as designers of color.
Through Harlem's Fashion Row, Daniel has forged relationships with popular brands and directly impacted young designers of color. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherman's the king, all the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is is Friday, September 12th, 2025. We've been hearing a lot about freedom of speech, and you should be able to say whatever you want and not have to face any violent consequence. I believe that. At least I believe that on its face. You should be able to speak freely and express yourself without fearing some kind of repercussion, a violent repercussion. But I got to be very clear and make this distinction, because now is the time to have this conversation, even though previous times we should have had this conversation, but now it seems a little bit more front-centered and focused. You can talk about your government, and your government cannot censor you when you talk about your government. The whole part of the democracy, which I think has been lost, or it needs to be rediscovered, or it wasn't taught, or how we were taught as children and young adults throughout American education, assuming you were educated here. If you were educated somewhere else, you have a whole different understanding of America and our democracy and our Constitution. You have a totally different understanding of it. We may have been taught to be submissive and subservient to authority, but at the same time, we put authority in place, right? We put authority in place, but at the same time, we have to be submissive to it. So we should be able to talk about our government, but don't talk about them too bad, because, you might get in trouble. We have to be okay with someone else's free expression, even if we don't like it. And here's the hard part, even if it's wrong. So with freedom of speech, you can talk about how the Democrats and the Republicans and the Speaker of the House and the President are all really horrible people. You can go out on a public street corner with a megaphone and make all of your pronouncements, and the government can't come and arrest you. Milwaukee Police Department cannot come and arrest you if you are expressing your views on a public sidewalk and a public right-of-way. They cannot arrest you if you're wearing like a protest T-shirt. The T-shirt is expression, right? Still covered under freedom of speech. You can wear a shirt that says, Kamala Harris sucks, and the Milwaukee Police Department or the FBI or the DOJ cannot come and arrest you for expressing yourself. We gotta be okay with that. And I think that we are. But here's the problem that exists that I don't think we are okay with. We have to be okay with people saying bad things about black people. Now, we don't like it, do we? Because depending upon who the person is, depending upon how powerful they are, and depending upon their audience and the kind of support that person can galvanize, it's really, really hurtful to black people, especially because we've had to battle generalizations and ignorance and stereotypes. And a lot of those generalizations and the ignorances and the stereotypes come from a people's lack of education, which is also an extension of segregation. So people will say really bad things about black people, but it's still protected speech and it's still free expression. We don't like that. And so when someone says bad things about black people, we want them eliminated one way or another. We want them to stop, because we have to deal with the impact that their negative attitudes or their erroneous attitudes about us can have. If there is a very popular conservative commentator, and maybe they're a member of the media, maybe they're a podcaster, and they just say categorically false things about black people, and then that person is removed one way or another, we rejoice in that, don't we? We celebrate that. We lose sight of the fact that they still have the right and the ability to say it. And I think that is what disturbs us so very much. Now, I have this particular ability, and I'm sure some of you have it too. There are a lot of people out there in the world, if you haven't noticed, to say really horrible things about black people every single day. Every negative example they can find, they can bring up. They'll take any news story, no matter how big or obscure the news story might be, and they'll use that to make their case about how horrible black people are and we're criminals and every other stereotype that you can possibly think of. They have the ability to do that. At the same time, we have the ability as black people to talk about how horrible white supremacy is. But there's repercussions for us, because if this popular person who is expressing themselves, they have freedom of speech, meaning the government can't sanction them when they're talking negatively about black people or the government, and they have free expression, meaning they can express their ideas that they have about black people. Here's the thing, even if the ideas are false, I can tune those people out. A lot of us can't, because we know the damage that can be done. We know that laws can be created based on the stereotypes of black people. If enough people in this country believe that black people are criminals, then they'll put more police in our community, even though there may not be any evidence of it. I got a list of like 75 metro areas here where the majority of the population in these metro areas are white, and the crime rates are higher than metro areas that are majority people of color. See, it doesn't matter, though, because if people are freely expressing themselves, then they're very powerful people with large platforms. And if they say, you know, black people are killers and murderers and carjackers and all these other things, that can have an impact on all of us, even though we know it is not true. Sometimes I listen to people talk about a different era in Milwaukee or a different era in the United States of America where black people got along better. Our communities were tight-knit. Our families were strong. You guys ever hear somebody talk about that? They might even be referring to Milwaukee, let's say, in the 1950s or the 1960s. They'll tell me, Sherwin, it wasn't like it is now. All the shooting and all the violent crime and the home invasions and burglaries and carjackings, we didn't have that in the 1950s and the early 1960s in Milwaukee. And when they tell me that, I believe them, because I have to believe them, because I wasn't born yet. You can even look at old photographs. It just shows black people just much more tight-knit. There was something that Charlie Kirk said that coincides with older generations of African Americans waxing nostalgic about a time where there was less crime and less violence. Now, America's always had crime and always had violence, but I'm being specific and focusing on the crime and the violence in the black community. Now, I know that most crime, like 90% of crime, is intra-racial. Crime is about proximity. So in real diverse areas and cities and counties, whatever, then crime can be more of opportunity, right? So if you're Hispanic and you live amongst a bunch of Asians and black people and white people, well, then crime is going to be of opportunity. But a lot of America is still very segregated. So white people live in white neighborhoods and white people hurt white people. Black people largely live in black neighborhoods and black people hurt other black people because it's just convenient because they're right there next to you. A school shooter is not going to travel to North Division from Muskego. They're going to shoot up the Muskego school because the Uber ride is cheaper. It's closer, you see. Charlie Kirk said something, and he had the right to say it. I don't agree with it. It was wrong. It was hurtful. And people believed it. And you know, when people believe negative things about us, it can have an impact on policy because they don't know us. America does not have a priority of educating its population about what really happened to African Americans and the violence that for so long was perpetuated against black people and black communities, whether it be slavery and that abject cruelty or 100 years of Jim Crow. It seemed like all the violence was pointing inward at us, but then something happened. A switch flipped, and that violence that was perpetuated on us, toward us, then became violence amongst one another. But Charlie Kirk said something, and I can't get over it. People are posting a lot of really, really bad stuff that he said. And I think that they're doing it to either remind us of the bad things that he said about black people specifically. He probably said things about other groups and other races too, I'm sure. But the things he said about African Americans, really, really horrible stuff. And I think people are posting it to justify his death, which you can't do that. We have to be okay with people saying bad stuff about us. We have to. I know you don't like it. I want you to know that I don't like it either. But you have to be okay with it, because we can say bad stuff about other people too, even if it's not true, and we do it every single day. The problem is when people have big platforms and they're very powerful, they can have political influence that can further hurt black folks. That's why we get upset. But you can't justify somebody's death, because there will be others. Let's say there's a real powerful person that says a bunch of horrible things about black people. And let's say they tour the country, just spreading lies and misinformation and falsehoods and stereotypes about black people. And they're touring the country and they're selling out arenas and they're saying really horrible stuff about black people. And then that one person who's selling out arenas, traveling the country, saying bad things about black people, they get taken out. That doesn't end people saying bad things about black people. There will be another one to come. So we have to realize and understand that it's legal. It is free expression. We don't like it because we know what the repercussions are. Charlie Kirk said, and this falls in line with what I've heard a lot of African Americans say over the course of my lifetime about decades ago, when it was just safer. You could be in a black neighborhood and walk down the street and nobody would carjack your horse or whatever. We're just safer. Charlie Kirk said when African Americans got rights, we became more violent. I replayed that clip a couple of times. And I was like, wait a minute. Because the time in which black folks reminisce about our community being safe and tight-knit, there was still legal housing segregation. They still could keep us out of jobs. They could have employment discrimination. The police could pull us over whenever they wanted to. There was no protections against racial profiling. And he said this at one of his many college campus tours. And I was just like, wait a minute, I got to decipher this. Because it makes sense. We were harming one another less physically, even though the harm was more outside of our community. We didn't have rights. There was no decency. There was no fairness. We were treated very, very poorly. We had segregated accommodations. There were segregated schools. But we were nicer to one another. But then you get the civil rights movement. We have more diversity. We have more freedom of movement. We can now buy houses and rent apartments wherever we wanted to. And then something befell upon our community and the violence reached a fever pitch. Now, it's much more complicated than that. But on its face, he made sense. And so that argument that Charlie Kirk made was harmful. But if you don't analyze it, you'll actually think it was true. So I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to decipher it because it's nuanced, it's complicated, and I need folks to have a much better understanding of why the African-American community looks the way it does. And we hopefully can quell some of the people that say, oh, you black people are just so violent. There was a series of things that took place over time where the racism that was overt and very intentional and exceptionally violent became much more covert. So covert, in fact, that same violence exists, but it has made it easier for African Americans to turn on one another. We're going to talk about all of the things today. We'd love it if you joined us. You can call it, you can text at 833-212-1017. You can join us on the YouTubes. Search 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Hit subscribe, and you'll be amongst like company. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris talk to the voice of the Bucks, Dave Kane. Find Here District now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Tracy, going back to the process, And as it relates specifically to the partnership that Old National Bank has with Housing Resource, what does the process consist of when coming through this program?
It's a referral process. We work with clients that first-time homeowners that may not have the counseling that they need. They may not have the equity, the down payment that they need. So we refer them to our partners like HRI or Housing Resources, Inc., because we recognize that those organizations, they have the resources, they have the tutorial documentation and all of those things that are necessary for first-time homeowners that don't know the process, may not know the system, may not know what's required for home ownership. So working with Housing Resources, Inc. and other partnerships that we have like through WIDA has been very, very advantageous, not only for us, but also the organizations, but also for the community.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017. I think we're just going to play tracks from Blue Mist today, Ricky, because yesterday my show got taken down because of the music I played. I went a little wild with the music. I played a lot of copyrighted music, which is not fair because this technically is a radio station, but YouTube has different rules on music that we can play, so they flagged my show. But we got it back, though. I want to read something somebody said in the YouTube commentary. Patrick says, I don't think black people rejoice over the death of that man. We just don't care. It was very sad and tragic. But every day in this world, people who talk sugar honey iced tea get shot. That's all that happened. Patrick, I don't know if you were familiar with some of the really, really horrible things that Charlie Kirk said about black people, black communities, black women. He said it to college kids, large groups of them. Now, some of them dismissed it. Some of them are going to believe it. And if some of them believe it, they may become voters that will vote for candidates and support policies that continue to harm black people. There are folks in this country that think that we are a plague in this society. They do. They think that we shouldn't be here because they don't know what we have contributed to this nation. And a lot of what we have contributed as black people has been very quiet. We don't really brag about all the things that we've done, how we've kept this nation together at every single turn, fought in every single war, have been tremendous caretakers of this nation. Because I think when we read the Constitution, we tend to believe it. We're very literal. Because if you just read the document, it's like, oh, everybody is equal and fair, and everybody gets the life and the liberty and the pursuits of happiness, and everybody can just express themselves very freely. We believed it. Now, in execution, the Constitution is not exactly playing out that way, especially because you just had a recent Supreme Court ruling that just legitimized racial profiling. Talk about setting us back. But Sincere says, come on now, if we say something bad or you don't like it on here, you're not on with it. Block, cancel. You're correct, because saying harmful and disrespectful comments on YouTube, that speech ain't protected. You're participating on our talk platform. And so a lot of folks use like the YouTube chat because you get to hide behind fake names and fake profiles, whatever. Y'all will use that in a cowardly way to demean and to threaten hosts. You deserve to be blocked. Now, if you want to keep your disagreement on the merit, but a lot of y'all attack us. And like, you don't deserve to be a part of this platform. First of all, you're anonymous. Use your first name and your last name and give me this last 4 digits of your social if you want to talk that kind of mess. But because people won't want to do that, like folks think like, oh, I got freedom of speech. I can threaten talk show hosts, or if I disagree with something they say, I can say mean things about them personally. No, you can't. No, you can't. And it's unfortunate that there are grown adults, middle-aged adults, and even older that have kids and grandkids that don't know that basic modicum of respect. So, yeah, if you act a fool, we're going to block you. Go find something else to listen to. Let's talk to DJ. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you, DJ?
I'm good, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing good. I listened to the previous show, and I was like, wait, but you and Dame are my favorite hosts, so I'm just glad that you're doing okay and back on the air.
Well, thank you very much.
Of course. So there were a number of things that came up for me in the last part of your conversation before the break. But what really resonated with me was the conversation about African Americans and when we got right. And so I want to comment on that and say, when African Americans got right, we simply behaved like Americans. Because what we forget is that we are not actually from this country. And I know there's a bunch of conversation around that, but let's just talk about slavery, right? And let's talk about our transition from our home nation to American sands. Let's talk about that for a second. We spent generation upon generation in a state of observation and not participation in this country. And so what that means is that we were able to observe what it meant to be an American, what it meant to be free. And what it means to be free and an American in this country is to participate in violence and to be violent. This country has a history of violence that spans well beyond the existence of black people in this country. And so when we have conversations about a plague of behavior that is coming from us, we must understand that we are simply mirroring, I can't get the word out, what we've seen as a means to the transition from being in poverty or experiencing disparities to what it takes to transition out of that. And I want to be clear that our communities were not around, and neither were the ones that are here, the white people that are here, never got to observe how white people behaved when they existed in these conditions. And the truth is, this desire to behave like an American is not a choice, it's a requirement, because every single European immigrant that comes to this country then entrenches themselves into whiteness. And so those that come from countries that are represented by people of color do the same, right? So we exist in this space of what it means to be an American. And the thing I'm going to close with is I will ask, and I beg my people to stop trying to convince or encourage or educate white people on what it means to be a black person and that we don't exist in these stereotypes. Frankly, they should know, or they know, or they have documentation to say that. What really needs to transpire is the second step, because what we're doing is exhausting ourselves from actually doing the real work it takes to transition our communities to a better quality of life. And that's it for me.
Thank you, DJ. That was brilliant. There you go. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right. Oh, she needs a radio show. That was fantastic. The way she clearly and plainly articulated absolute facts and truth. She's right. She's correct. We act like Americans, but we can be looked at differently because there's always an asterisk next to the descendants of slaves and how we acted, because they had a whole campaign to get the rest of the world and people in this country to see us as less than human, which justified our slavery. But no, DJ, she hit the nail on the head. She drove that nail deep into the wood. I'm take a break, come back, and I want to go a little bit further in trying to explain for anyone who is willing to listen and wanting to learn how the violence that was perpetuated against African Americans ultimately turn inward, and then it gets sensationalized in the media. And what does it lead to? It leads to disinvestment in our communities. It leads to underfunded schools. It leads to policies that ignore the specific situation that African Americans sometimes find themselves in. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This This summer, your wishes take center stage at WishFest at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Play your favorite games with your Potawatomi Rewards card all summer for over $1 million in prizes and earn entries into the WishFest prize drawings on Friday, September 26th. Your entries from July, August, and September all count. Plus, 5 lucky winners will have their ultimate wish granted. Wish big, win big. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and rewards member to play.
Did you forget the first day of school is this week and little Nancy still needs her name embroidered on her backpack? Or the company shirts are due now, not next week? Maybe the boss just declared Steve's retirement party is today and the shirts are mandatory? Whatever the rush, Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more in Mequon has got you covered. With fast turnarounds, no minimums, eco-friendly printing, and high-quality custom apparel, Big Frog brings your custom ideas to life fast. Stop by Big Frog in Mequon or visit bigfrog.com/Mequon. Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more, where your ideas leap to life.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Here is Tory Lowe with his truth.
It's official. July 5th is Tory Lowe Day in the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. I am humbled to receive this proclamation from the mayor's office and the county executive's office. To me, this day represents life and purpose and being driven by passion to serve and empower others. It's about being unselfish and answering the call to help those in need and living life with intention. Despite challenges and obstacles, I remain focused on creating real change in my community, county, and state. This recognition isn't about me. It's about the collective efforts of those who supported me along the way. It's about the resilience and determination that defines my journey. As we celebrate this day, I want to leave you with a challenge. What will you do to create positive change in your community? Will you get out and volunteer, mentor, or simply be a support to a friend? Whatever it is, I urge you to take action. Together we can build a brighter future, one that's filled with hope, opportunity, and empowerment. I am honored to serve, and I am grateful for this recognition. Let's continue to uplift and support one another, striving for a better tomorrow. So what does Tory Lowe Day mean to me? Let's make a difference together. Let's stay committed to our purpose and keep pushing forward even in the face of adversity. I'm excited to see the impact we can make, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve alongside such an amazing community. Now, my question is, what does Tory Lowe Day mean to you?
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Listen to The Tory Lowe Show weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
During American slavery and later Jim Crow, African Americans endured generations of severe physical violence, psychological trauma, and systemic oppression. Families were separated, people were brutalized publicly, and laws actively excluded black people from safety, education, and economic opportunity. Those things must be noted. This wasn't just individual cruelty, it was a whole system built on terror and dehumanization. Over time, living under constant threat reshaped community life. People had to focus on survival instead of long-term stability. When those external forces of violence started to loosen after the civil rights movement, the damage did not just disappear. Trauma and disinvestment left lasting scars. The cycle that followed. Poverty and disinvestment. Because of centuries of blocked opportunities, redlining, job discrimination, school segregation, many black communities ended up with few resources, poor schools, and high unemployment. Some of those things we still see today. Fractured trust. Long exposure to oppression weakened community bonds and trust in institutions like the police, the courts, or the government. And then, of course, the very American learned patterns of violence. When violence is a common part of life for generations, it can become normalized as a way to resolve conflict or gain respect, even though no one wants it that way. So instead of violence coming mostly from outside, as it did during slavery and Jim Crow, it began showing up inside the community. That is what people mean when they say the violence turned inward. Let's talk to Bob. I hope that you can stay on the subject, Bob.
Yes, I think I can. Sherwin, how you doing? Look, the family should tell Trump not to come down. This is where we should go from here, but it is not going to happen. Why should the family say, Trump, do not come down and visit us? Because you are not the reason he got killed.
Hold on, Bob. Who was Trump coming to visit? And what family are we talking about?
Charlie Kirk.
Oh, okay.
That's what he said on TV.
Okay.
He's coming out, and it's going to happen, but I hope it don't happen. This is where we should go from here. His family should say, Trump, do not come down because, you are not the reason he got killed, but you are part of the aroma of the country, a piece of the puzzle, denigrating Democrats, and then the Democrats protecting themselves by saying things to you, and it's all an aroma of this country. And, that's why you shouldn't come down. How am I going to tell people the president made a joke of Nancy Pelosi getting hit by husband getting hit by him?
I think you're on a different wavelength. So Charlie Kirk's widow believed the same things that he did, and she probably will find great comfort and solace in the president of the United States, who Charlie Kirk, he supported Trump, but then they had a little bit of a break. So you make it seem like Charlie Kirk's widow is a liberal Democrat that has a profound understanding of how Donald Trump has broken the country. No, she is in the same line of thinking as her late husband and of the president. So there's no way that she would disavow Donald Trump. I think you might be thinking that she has different politics than her husband. She does not. That's why they got married and had kids. In fact, she was at the event where he was murdered.
That's a shame that they're going in that direction, and he visits them, and they okay his visit, and the family should not let him come down.
Bob, they have the same ideas and values and morals and politics. So you're saying that Charlie Kirk's widow should change her ideas, values, morals, and politics and then disavow Donald Trump? That's not going to happen. They're one and the same. She supported the president.
It's a shame. It's a shame. It's the direction we should go in. The family not letting Trump come down. We don't let. That's a shame.
All right, thanks, Bob. All right, then. That's. I'm trying to figure out what his point was there. That I have my theories on. I'm watching we got monitors here in the studio, and apparently they have apprehended a suspect. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. I want to give an example. I don't want to delve into conspiracy theories. I just can't trust anything coming from this administration. And the FBI and the Department of Justice are all packed with Donald Trump sycophants, acolytes, and loyalists. Those people are picked and put in those very, very important positions in the executive branch of the government and executive law enforcement because of their loyalty to MAGA and to Donald Trump, not because of their qualifications or their loyalty to the Constitution. And we got to understand that. Now, Trump was able to do that. He can put people in that were loyal to him. But if you recall from his first term, and I learned a lot during his first term because I just didn't think that a president could get away with a bunch of stuff. Clearly, they can. Not only did I not believe a president could get away with such stuff, I didn't think that they could do those things, get away with it, and then get reelected. That was the shocker for me, but here we are. When he hired people and appointed people during his first term, And some of those folks were career officials, career military folks, people that had a legacy and a history of fighting for this country, fighting for our democracy. Now, they were Republicans a lot of time. They were conservatives, but they still appreciated the U.S. Constitution, and they understood that America is a place of laws. And so when Donald Trump was exercising some of his worst impulses, the people that he selected during his first term would say, Mr. President, with all due respect, you can't do that. That's illegal. That's a violation. That's unconstitutional. So what did Trump do? He fired them. So all of the people that pushed back on his most egregious impulses, because they were looking out for not just him, but also looking out for the best interests of the country and wanted to protect the Constitution and appreciating the fact that America is a country of laws, he fired them. There's something that we need to know and understand about who the president of the United States is, and it seems that we have not learned it, even though the man got reelected. When you are no longer useful to him, or if you can do great damage or harm to him, if you can embarrass him or demean him, he'll get rid of you. Now, we have to have that understanding of him. When you are no longer useful, when you're no longer helpful, he gets rid of you. He fires people. He took that whole persona from the show The Apprentice and brought it to the presidency, which, very bad idea. That show was quite unpresidential, but he still operated in that same way. But Trump has been that way throughout his entire professional and adult life. If you watch the many stories and biographies on him, and I have, to try and get a better understanding of him, so it makes it easier for me and therefore us to predict his next move so we can be a step ahead of him. Anything that gets in his way, he eliminates, he terminates, or he goes to the courts and tries to sue. That's just his MO. Jeffrey Epstein was on the most high-profile suicide watch in a maximum security federal prison. Jeffrey Epstein was set to testify. This was in the year 2016 during Donald Trump's first term. Remember, they thought that Jeffrey Epstein was a suicide risk, and so he was on round-the-clock surveillance. He was not left alone ever. And because he was in a federal facility and Donald Trump was president, Donald Trump had purview over that facility in which Jeffrey Epstein was held. Do you guys remember that? But then for some odd, weird, and mysterious reason, of course, there's cameras rolling as well, because when you have somebody who is in that kind of serious federal protective custody, there's cameras rolling and there's security guards that are there around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, mysteriously, the cameras stopped working for a minute or two. And whomever those round-the-clock security personnel were that were keeping their eye on Jeffrey Epstein while he was under this maximum security suicide watch, well, they took a break and had a sandwich or something. And then they came back and, oh, my goodness, Jeffrey Epstein hung himself. Can you imagine the things that Jeffrey Epstein would have said if he was testifying honestly and about the people he could have dragged down? And now we know it's been made clear and it's public information that Donald Trump is mentioned in the Epstein files many, many times over. We do not know to what extent and to what capacity, but we know Donald Trump's name is in there. And even if his name isn't in there, you've seen all the videos of Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. You've even seen that the birthday card that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein talking about that they share a very special secret. So I'm not making any of that up. This is me just giving you objective fact, which most of you already know. What Jeffrey Epstein could have said during his testimony, and who knows what he would have said, could have been very damaging to a lot of people, including the president. Jeffrey Epstein then was found dead in his cell. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, exceptionally powerful conservative voice that galvanized a youth movement, literally the next generation of MAGA. Charlie Kirk started his organization Turning Point USA when he was just 18 years old and grew it to a $30+ million powerhouse endeavor in which he wrote books and articles, was on podcasts and toured the nation and had spirited debates with people that sometimes agreed and sometimes disagreed with him. Then something happened, and he was a huge supporter of Donald Trump. In fact, Trump ordered the flags to be flown at half staff, and Trump came out with a statement, of course, blaming liberal Democrats. Charlie Kirk broke with Trump on two very important issues. Now, remember, if you break with Donald Trump, you're harmful to Trump. If you're no longer helping him, he doesn't need you anymore, right? And that's a theme that the president has followed his entire life. Anyone that crosses him or has a different opinion than him or makes him look bad or foolish or stupid, he eliminates you in one of many different creative ways. The problem with being president is the arsenal of ways in which you can diminish somebody and get rid of them are infinitely larger than if you're just a businessman and or a real estate professional. We have to agree on that too. Charlie Kirk said, maybe Israel is wrong. Maybe we need to look into the genocide of the Palestinian people. On message for a true Christian that Charlie Kirk would say that, but it flies in the face of Donald Trump, who's got a very strong relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. In fact, Benjamin Netanyahu, they affectionately call him Bibi, has found a way to manipulate Trump to allow Israel to do whatever Israel wants to do, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. Benjamin Netanyahu nominated Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump is chasing a Nobel Peace Prize for one other reason. He don't care about a Nobel Peace Prize. If he actually cared about a Nobel Peace Prize, Donald Trump would have lived a life that would be reflective of someone who gets a Nobel Peace Prize. Trump wants one because Obama got one. And Benjamin Netanyahu knew that. So he said, I'm going to nominate you, Mr. Trump. I saw the little meeting he had at the White House where he nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, and who knows if Trump is going to get it or not. But when Charlie Kirk said, yeah, maybe we need to look into some of these crimes that Israel is committing, well, that makes Donald Trump look bad, because remember, Charlie Kirk is of as much influence as Donald Trump is. In fact, I would argue that Charlie Kirk had more because he influenced young people. Trump don't really influence young people like that. Charlie Kirk did because they saw him as a peer. So when he broke with Trump on Israel, but here's the kicker. He was on a podcast with, I cannot remember who this was, but Charlie Kirk said, yeah, Trump should just release the Epstein files. Release them. All of them. All of it. Just put it out there for the American people. That was it. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein lost his life during Donald Trump's first term under, let's just go ahead and call that mysterious circumstances. But then when Charlie Kirk said, yeah, we need to see what's in the Epstein files, and he was adamant because what Charlie Kirk could do is motivate tens of millions of conservatives in this country to put more pressure on Donald Trump to release the files in which we know that Donald Trump is named. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk is no longer useful or helpful to Trump. In fact, he's demeaning, detrimental, and harmful. And the next thing you know. So whoever this individual is that I'm seeing on my monitors here in the studio of the person that they apprehended, maybe they did it, maybe they didn't, maybe they're a patsy, I don't know. But I know that Charlie Kirk was no longer useful to Donald Trump's MAGA movement because he broke with Trump on Israel and broke with Trump on the Epstein files. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Milwaukee, get ready for the ultimate flavor in Music Fest. Tacos and Tequila Fest is going down Saturday, September 13th at Franklin Field. Enjoy your favorite throwback hits with performances by Lil Jon, Pretty Ricky, B.O.B., Trina, and more. This event is strictly 21 and up, so leave the kiddos at home and get ready to vibe out. Live music, DJs, food trucks, tequila tastings, and all the vibes you can handle all in one epic day. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at tacostequilafest.com/market/Milwaukee.
This is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth for Axe Housing. Are you tired of paying a landlord rent when you should be paying yourself? Do you want to leave a financial legacy, or would you like to have a stable place to call home? Well, it's time for you to start on the path to owning your own home instead of renting. You can work with an Axe Housing coach, and they will teach you how home ownership can be a reality. Axe Housing has helped over 4,000 families in our neighborhoods. Many times your mortgage will be a lot less than what you're paying for rent. As an average Axe family who has been helped pays around $900 per month. No matter what barriers you think you're facing, Axe Housing Coaches can assist you right now. An Axe Housing Coach will help you create and stick to a plan and a budget and get you ready for home ownership. If you're not dreaming of home ownership by now, you certainly should be. Let's make it a reality with Axe Housing. Get started on a virtual orientation by clicking on axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Don't let where you are financially right now get in the way of your very bright future of becoming a homeowner. Axe Coaches are here to help.
Make your home safer. Get rid of unused household chemicals at MMSD Home Hazmat Drop-Off. It's free to visit a collection center. Get all the info you need at MMSD.com. Milwaukee County residents only, no businesses.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Serious truck crash? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
One of the tenets of totalitarian authoritarianism is you have your useful idiots, and then when they become useless, you get rid of them. There's no rules anymore. There's no morals anymore. There's no more standards of conduct. None of that exists in the form of government that we find ourselves in. The Democrats are still adhering to the old way, but it would take the American people to want to go back to some level of civility. But when you blame the left and liberals for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, those people that could be and would be Democratic voters because their health care is too expensive, or they believe that the government should support policies that can reduce the impact of climate change, or if they think inflation is too high or groceries are too high. Remember when everybody was complaining about the price of eggs? Either eggs got cheap or people don't care about that anymore. There are economic issues and quality of life issues that the Democrats could legitimately bring up, but if you blame that entire political party and all the people that vote for Democrats on the assassination of a very popular conservative figure, those people will never vote for another Democrat again. So even if Democrats are talking about free child care and low-cost health care and Medicare for all and rebuilding and building more hospitals in rural areas, it won't matter. And that's why we get angry, because we say, well, these people they're not voting in their best interest. Well, they hate Democrats so much because what conservative media can do is make Democrats look like the worst political party ever created, because they just want to give a bunch of free stuff to black folks. And they want to let criminals out into the street. And another thing the Democrats want to do, they want to take God out of the country. They want to take God out of the schools. And the Democrats want to take your damn guns. And somebody might say, you know what, I am struggling. My wages are too low. I'm being replaced by AI and automation, but I'll be damned if I ever vote for one of those godless Democrats that wants to take my guns. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to say. Like what I just said right there has convinced someone to never vote for a Democrat again. Now, a lot of that stuff is not true. But remember, we live in a country of retribution, of getting vengeance on someone. Even if those people who you want to get vengeance on are not your actual enemy, this is the era that we live in. If all of those conditions that I just mentioned, childcare too expensive, healthcare too expensive, hospitals closing, cuts to SNAP benefits, all those things are in fact true. If there's one political party that will try to remedy some of those problems, but at the same time, the political party that wants to remedy some of those problems wants to take away your guns, wants to take God out of schools, and wants to just give a bunch of free stuff to black people and let criminals just run free, people will suffer. They'll suffer. But you know what? Maybe I don't need the free health care or the Medicare, or maybe I don't need climate justice. I don't want the Democrats to ever get in power and get in control because they are the evil ones. Let's talk to David. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing good, Mr. Hughes. It's great to have you back, man. I'm glad you are doing good and that you're well.
Appreciate that. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, the thing is I've been listening, and I was thinking that, even though someone like Charlie Kirk does have the right by the Constitution to say what he wants, it definitely does not exclude him from the consequences of what he says. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why I kind of feel like things are starting to get real crazy now, and it seems like as a society, we have these ups and downs, is that all we got to do is really kind of look at history. If you look at incidents where the media has been real reckless and has focused on hate-filled talk, you have these incidents, like Kristallnacht, where German radio and media came out and said that the Jews were responsible for the chancellor's death, which caused all the burning of these Jewish shops and homes. And then even in the Rwanda genocide, where you had, after the death of their president, you had Hutu radio hosts going on the air and saying that the Tutsis are the ones that are responsible and for the president's death, which caused over, close to 800,000 people dying. I'm not sure if that's the right number, but a lot of people were killed as a result of that. And then even here close to home, the Tulsa massacre, where, a whole community was destroyed because newspapers wrote that black people were trying to defend a young man that supposedly assaulted a white girl on an elevator. The responsibility of media to give the truth to people and not to use people's biases, because that's all they do. They use the biases that people all have, their racist views, to basically get them to do things. And that's why Charlie Kirk is so dangerous to me, and people like him are so dangerous, because they use the feelings that are already in society to cause bad things to happen. And usually the people that are on the end of that are those minority groups that are disfranchised in society and don't have the same protections as the majority group. So
okay,
it's a great responsibility. I'm glad you carry your responsibility well, and that you're about uplifting people, uplifting the community, but you got to be careful about what you say. And racism is never something that is going to end well for anybody. It's never going to end well.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your call, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. What I'll say is this, because I heard it again shrouded in David's comments, like, oh, you got to be careful of what you say. You reap what you sow. While conservative figures that travel the country and do podcasts, whatever, that support Trump and support MAGA can say really harmful and damaging things about us and people like us, they're not the only voices. We make it seem like they are the only voices. We're going to continue this conversation during hour 2. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Come in with straight truth. And to make matters even worse, Truth Nation, when you look at more numbers, there have been 59 children shot in the city of Milwaukee, and 40 of the perpetrators were also under 18. They were children. So you have almost 60 young folks here. If you go to a private school, some schools only got 60 kids in elementary school, but you're talking about maybe 3 classrooms in a middle school or elementary school worth of kids who have been shot in our city this year, but 40 of them who perpetrated the act were also children. So you're talking about 100 kids who are ruining their lives in the city of Milwaukee in 8 months. We have to be better, because when you look at the overall murder rate in the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee makes up about 50% of the total murders in the whole state of Wisconsin. But seeing young folks getting killed and young folks shooting guns is extremely troubling and puzzling to me. It should be puzzling to you as well. It's a troubling reality that we have to face in our community.
Watch all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows by subscribing to 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
The biggest snowflakes out here are always been the white Republicans, who are so gung-ho on protecting the feelings of white kids while they ignore the needs of other kids. If Milwaukee's youth has a problem with fighting, well, white youth have a problem with being destructive and offensive. So it is sad that our government is actively working to de-emphasize educating and uplifting students of color in different backgrounds on college campuses. That emphasis is going to be diminished, and the only kids that will suffer will be our kids. They were willing to hold up the advancement of the state of Wisconsin because they disagree with DEI. What are white Republicans afraid of? Why are they afraid to face the fact that their grandmas and grandpapas were part of a system which purposely held black folks back and failed to give us the access that we deserve? Until these politicians stop ignoring these egregious acts of hate and racial incidents, America can never be great again.
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
Listen to the man who tells you exactly how he sees it. The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. In case you don't have it, our call-in number is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. You also can join us on YouTube by searching 1017 The Truth on YouTube and hitting subscribe. Something Charlie Kirk said bothered me. No, I didn't pay attention to him. I knew who he was, but I don't have the time, the effort, the ability, or the patience to listen to this current crop or generation of conservative talking heads. Now, a lot of you do, because you think you might be benefiting from listening to what the other side is talking about. There is no legitimate other side. It's lies, it's horrible rhetoric, it's dangerous rhetoric, it's generalizations and stereotypes about immigrants, about African Americans. There's no legitimacy to their argument. So when I think of listening to the other side, if the Democrats have a health care proposal, as an example, I would listen to the other side, to Republicans, if they say, hey, we have a health care proposal too, but ours is more efficient. Ours covers more people. Ours covers children. Ours covers the elderly. Then I'll listen to the other side. But if the other side is just saying horrible things about us and about our neighborhoods and about our communities, then I'm not going to listen to them because I gain nothing from it. But there was something that Charlie Kirk said that coincided with something that I've long heard many African Americans say, and they would say, older African American folk would say, oh, Sherwin, a long time ago, our communities were much nicer and cleaner and much safer, but then something happened in the 1960s and the 70s and the 80s. And I know, like, sociologically what happened. Disinvestment happened, factories left and went overseas, et cetera. But our communities did become more dangerous, more violent, more drug addicted, et cetera, et cetera. And Charlie Kirk said, you know, when black folks got rights after the civil rights movement, they got more violent. And so I had to do diligence here and I had to dig into that. And it's much more complicated and nuanced. And the problem with some of the things that conservative commentators like Kirk say is they don't explain. They just say, oh, black people are violent. Americans are violent. I got a list of 75 metro areas here that are majority Caucasian in population, and they have violent crime rates, and in some cases triple that of Chicago. But Donald Trump is not threatening to send the military or the National Guard to those places. Let's talk to Marlon. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you, sir?
Good, and yourself?
Doing good, man. What's on your mind?
Good. So I do have a quick question. Do you think that this could be the beginning of political civil war? I can see retaliation. Somebody shoots this person, shoots that person. You know, almost like gang violence. You know what I mean? Because you shot one of our people, I shoot your person. You know, the other thing, I kind of feel like you with Charlie Kirk. Like, I saw him before, but I never knew his name or anything. But when you get that rhetoric and stuff like that, I just kind of shut it out, and I don't even listen to it. But the problem is some of these kids who are listening to it, and they're starting believing because nobody fact-checks anything no more. Nobody looks up stuff for themselves anymore. Nobody digs deeper like you do anymore. So because people don't do that, we're liable for anything. What they say, if you don't know, you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But these people are standing for all this false accusations, and they're falling for a bunch of stuff. And it happens both sides, you know what I mean? But realistically, and it's ironic. My wife has a friend who works for a nonprofit here in Milwaukee, and she talked about the shooting. She didn't say that she believed that it was a good thing. She didn't believe. She was talking about the liberal side of things and how, you know, Charlie Kirk's death is, while it happened, is tragic. You know, things, and she got fired from her.
Uh-oh, we lost Marlon. Marlon says somebody his wife works with got fired from their job. A lot of heads have rolled over the last 24 hours. How long? What's today? My days is all running together. What's today? Today's Friday. He was killed on Wednesday, right? There was an MSNBC. I think MSNBC thinned their herd by two. Two commentators got fired. Now, again, you would think, and so what they said, these two MSNBC, Matt Dowd was one, and I can't think of the other fella. The other fella that got fired, he got fired first. So when news breaks like this, even seasoned media professionals don't know how to conceptualize it. And you're bound to say anything because you don't know all the details and all the facts. You just go based on whatever limited information you know, and also your bias will come into play whenever news breaks. And the first person on MSNBC that got fired. Now, I remember MSNBC is an ultra left-leaning, super liberal. It's too liberal for me, but I'm not a liberal. I'm not a progressive, and I resent some of the extreme viewpoints and policies of progressives, because to be a progressive and the way that they've homogenized being progressive, because black folks are the original progressives, because we need progress. Because for so long, we were kept out of it. We weren't allowed to read, to write, to go to school, to be educated. We weren't allowed. And so we are the original progressives. But now the homogenized and sanitized and deodorized definition of progressive is basically progressing every other single nuanced micro cause and leaving black people either in the lurch or our cause is in there with the transgenders and the gays and feminism. To be progressive, in my opinion, your opinion may vary. Remember, we still can have opinions. Don't shoot me in the neck, please, because I have a damn opinion. Like, I hate that I have to give that disclaimer. Because progressives can be mean and nasty, too. And I know firsthand because I support parental choice in education, and progressives have come for my head because I support a family that wants to send their child to a private school, but if that family can't afford the tuition, because you know that private school tuition is a bastion of segregation. If you know that African Americans have less income and have less equity and have less money in the bank, if you levy a tax, a fee, or a tariff or tuition, you can keep a lot of black families out. A lot of white teachers, they'll tell you, teachers, administrators, principals, you think they send their kids to MPS? If you're an unless you're sending your kids to King and Golda, you think MPS educators do you legitimately think that they're sending their kids to the schools that are the worst performing in the state, the region, and in some cases the nation? Do you think so? No. A lot of them MPS teachers send their kids to private schools. They can afford to pay the tuition, but they send their kids to private schools because they don't want their children. And remember, what an educator knows about education is the tips that we all need to be taking because they know where the good schools are at because, hell, they're educators. But they send their kids to private schools, but then if black families want to take advantage of a program that is legal, lawful, legitimate, and constitutional, the left and the progressives have a fit because they may pretend to be in racial harmony with people because they gentrify our neighborhoods. They don't want their kids going to school in schools that are meant for our kids. Why would they do that? They still want their kids to be more competitive than ours. So I don't subscribe to the whole progressive thing. And if I look at a black progressive like I look at a black MAGA, they want to cozy up to white power and white supremacy. That's I see those are two wings on the same bird. Now, they're different political viewpoints. I may have, at the end of the day, a few more policy pronouncements in common with progressives, but like their stances on things exclude the impact of race. Bernie Sanders, perfect example. Bernie Sanders didn't understand the nuance of race when he was running for president. That's why black folks in those southern primaries didn't vote for him. Black folks are not stupid. As much as they try and make us out to be stupid, we're not. And we didn't vote for Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders thought, it's class warfare. That's what it is. No. It's income and it's poverty. He didn't get it. And I can't vote for someone or support someone who discounts or excludes or is ignorant on the impact of race. Bernie Sanders was like, well, no, if you just pay people more money, then racism goes away or racism doesn't really exist. Bernie, you're 90 years old. And he got some kind of special credit. We also got to stop doing this, too. Because a white person marched with Dr. King does not make them saintly or godly. They just did the right thing. They did the right thing in that moment. So people said, Bernie Sanders marched with Dr. King. He was supposed to. Because if you weren't with Dr. King, then clearly you were on the other side. Now, to bring up something that Marlon said, because I want to make sure that his question gets answered, he asked if this is the start of some kind of a civil war. Not in the terms of what you all may think a civil war is. Will it turn into armed conflict in the street? No. But the Civil War never ended. If the Confederates could still fly their flags and display their monuments, even outside of the South, there were Confederate monuments, then the Civil War never ended. The Civil War turned policy. It turned political. That's what Jim Crow was. Jim Crow was essentially the South and the Confederates saying we are not going to integrate our society and we're going to control the lives of black people. We're not going to let them testify on juries. They're not going to see any justice. We're going to underfund their schools. We're going to underfund their neighborhoods and their communities. We're going to diminish their opportunities, and occasionally we'll kill a few. We're going to get drunk on moonshine, go down to the jailhouse, go get one, and string them up for fun. So the Civil War never ended. Now, let me also say this. Assassinations, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated because had he lived, he would have, I believe, he would have extinguished the Confederacy. Just like the Germans made it illegal to fly the Nazi flag. You can't fly a Nazi flag in modern day Germany. It's a felony, but you can fly the Confederate flag. Hell, you can paint a Confederate flag on your car in America and have Confederate monuments. Could you imagine if in modern day Germany, there were statues of Adolf Hitler, but we had schools, military bases, everything named after Confederates. And the Confederates they were treasonous. They lost the war. And we still allowed them to have their quote unquote freedom of speech. It's so crazy how this country just never really ended the Civil War. And if anything, I would say the Confederacy is back and bold and probably better than ever. But will we have an all-out civil war? We will not. But assassinations are a part of it. So Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. They tried to assassinate Reagan in 1981. Sirhan assassinated Robert Kennedy. He was going to win the 1968 Democratic nomination. He was going to be president. He would have ended the Vietnam War. He would have continued Dr. King's legacy. and the legacy of civil rights. So Robert Kennedy was assassinated. His big brother was assassinated, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. For a number of reasons, he was assassinated. Dr. King assassinated. Malcolm X assassinated. Anwar Sadat assassinated. A lot of people. That's just a part of it. But is this going to lead to some kind of all-out civil war? No, I don't think so. We should hope not, because Donald Trump is commander-in-chief of the military. And if blue cities decide that they want to, arm themselves or push back against either a National Guard invasion or Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth deciding they want to send troops into blue states and blue cities, it wouldn't end well. I had a very small conversation with someone via social media. She's like, yeah, let him. She's a liberal. She's a Democrat. She's like, yeah, let him come. I'm 70 years old and I'm going to fight back against these people. No, you're not. They have drones. They'll send a drone. A drone doesn't have a person in it. And they'll just, do you see how they're fighting in Russia and Ukraine? Yes, there's some ground troops, but they just send drones to just drop grenades and shoot missiles from. The person operating the drone is like in a bunker somewhere 100 miles away, and the drone just shoots you in the face. So no, whatever guns you all have as American citizens is nothing compared to the military. We spend like $1 trillion on our military budget. The technology that they have to eliminate human beings doesn't match your 9mm pistol. Just saying. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back. Got a few more things I'd like to discuss with you on today's program. We're going to get to the bottom of this thing that is something that Charlie Kirk said. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
So let me ask you, when the government, and again, I'm doing the air quotes, tightens the belt, who's standing underneath the belt when it snaps back?
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
Don't want you to agree. Honestly, should I be transparent? I don't really care if you agree. I, like you, want to be heard.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 1017 The Truth.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
We are the American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. We are nearly 1 million strong and growing stronger every day. Join us on Saturday, October 11th at 8 a.m. at Summerfest Southgate as we come together for the Making Strides of Milwaukee Walk. Whether you walk for a survivor, in the memory of a loved one, or to support the American Cancer Society, you bring us closer to a future free from breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country right here in Milwaukee? Sign up for free today at www.makingstrideswalk.org/MilwaukeeWI.
Tired of hearing no from other banks? No to a loan? No to a checking account? Just no? At Brewery Credit Union, we find ways to say yes. Yes to second chances. Yes to rebuilding credit. Yes to helping you save, borrow, and thrive. Work with our credit specialists and move your financial life forward. Brewery Credit Union, Milwaukee's best place to borrow and save. Visit brewerycu.com. That is brewerycu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Milwaukee, get ready for the ultimate flavor in Music Fest. Tacos and Tequila Fest is going down Saturday, September 13th at Franklin Field. Enjoy your favorite throwback hits with performances by Lil Jon, Pretty Ricky, B.O.B., Trina, and more. This event is strictly 21 and up, so leave the kiddos at home and get ready to vibe out. Live music, DJs, food trucks, tequila tastings, and all the vibes you can handle all in one epic day. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at tacostequilafest.com/market/Milwaukee.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The world can be a lonely place when you're just a name without a face. You can disappear without a trace and be gone.
And I've been jamming like this since
You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Our telephone number, if you're so inclined, is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. I'm talking about this thing that Charlie Kirk said. He had free expression and had the legal and constitutionally protected ability to travel the country and offer his opinions to people. Now, we seem to think that when someone has a large platform and they go around speaking, that every single person in all of those audiences believes everything that this individual says. And he's not the only person that has a large platform. A lot of people have large platforms. Not everyone there is a supporter. Now, there are people, of course, that do support his political ideas, but then there's a lot of people that show up to push back. College campuses are very interesting places because they are the acceptable places to have spirited debate. The problem is our debate now has turned so toxic and so vitriolic, it's dangerous. I mean, he was killed on a college campus. That shouldn't happen. You should be able to disagree with someone and keep it on the merits, right? Keep it on the argument. But it's called ad hominem, and people use it all the time. It's like, if I can't defeat your argument, I'm just going to talk about you as a person, like you're a horrible person and I hate you and I want to kill you. Well, that means that you've lost the argument, and a lot of people are losing the argument because you go immediately to attacking the person. And I don't know how we're going to get civility back. I don't know if there ever really was any civility. I think we always wax nostalgic about a time when, oh, it used to be so much nicer. No, there was always some mess going on in this country. Always something. But I find it necessary and troubling at the same time that I have to provide more context on why people generalize and stereotype the African American community is because they have been kept away from the history. And the history, we got to be very clear about this. And I don't care if it hurts your feelings. It's going to hurt somebody's feelings. Anything I say can hurt somebody's feelings. White people that have curated the education system in this country have left a lot of things out, things that make them look bad, things that make them look negligent, and things that make them look responsible. And so when they do that, then we get all the blame like it is our fault. And so I find it necessary to have to explain what was left out because they don't want to be made to look bad. And they also don't want future generations and current generations of white children, white school children, to hate themselves because of the blood stains in their history. Let's talk to Security Mike. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Sherwin?
Good.
Hey, man, it irks me when they get on here and say political violence or whatever, and it coming from both sides. Democrats, it ain't been no violence as far as killing somebody and shooting at somebody coming from our side. When Trump got attempted assassinations twice, those were white Republicans that voted for him. Now we get that they got this guy that shot Kirk, Tyler Robinson. This is a white kid. Now I'm wondering if it's going to come out if he's a Trump supporter or not. So we at war if he's a Trump supporter. This is crazy. When they say, "Oh, it's coming from both sides," this violence is not coming from both sides. When they in Minnesota, when they went to these people's cribs and shot and killed a husband and a wife, and now with this, that's not the Democrats doing this.
The Democrats didn't do
I don't
this
get
one, but Security Mike, there has been. So on the left, we call it revolution. There have been revolutionaries that have burned stuff down and then have hurt people, like a lot less now. But like in the 70s, you had the Weather Underground. You had left-leaning terrorist organizations that sometimes sided with communist regime. Like it has happened on both sides. The Democrats are not told.
I'm talking about current.
Okay.
What's going on right now?
Look at the long view of history, though, and there has been political violence. It has come from both sides. I know we don't want to hear that argument. We want to make it look like it's only the Republicans, but in the long view of history, it's been a little bit of both.
Since Trump been in office, it's coming from basically from their side, and even trying to assassinate him.
Why don't we say this? It's white people, whether we know these people's political affiliations or not.
That too.
But that doesn't mean that they may not have. Like one of the people they do their they analyze these people's backgrounds. One guy donated to Democrats and donated to Republicans. It's white people. But if we are in some kind of a pseudo civil war, the civil war is always going to start with white people that don't like each other. Black folks are always going to be the cannon fodder. White folks are going to start killing one another. Like it's a them problem. We're just kind of figuring out how to get equal rights and how to get jobs that pay good. You know what I mean? So we let them fight
exactly. Yeah, we don't want to be getting in no war fights. Definitely that Trump is in charge of the military. Man, he all out here, blaze us out of here. So we don't want that. Not with this guy in charge. This don't make no sense, man. But I get tired of hearing that coming from both sides because we're not the violent ones. And I'm waiting to see what's going to come out with this Tyler Robinson. But I bet money he's a Trump supporter. And like you said, everybody didn't agree with this at these college rallies with that kid, Kirk. Because you see, somebody just popped him because of that. They didn't agree with Charlie Kirk and that his racist self. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your call. I don't believe it. I just I can't get into conspiracy theories because, apparently I'm held to some high journalistic integrity standard. I think that, and I haven't even looked up the fellow that they apprehended because I think he's a patsy. You gotta find somebody. You gotta pin it on somebody. I don't trust this administration to administer justice fairly at all. Look at the immigration raids. American citizens are getting caught up in that. Look at the most recent Supreme Court decision, which made constitutional racial profiling. Brett Kavanaugh made a statement that said, well, if you're at a construction work site or a day laboring site and you see someone that looks Latino and Hispanic and their English isn't very good, that's grounds to detain them for deportation. And the administration is violating laws and rules and morals and decency in detaining people, so I don't believe that justice is going to be administered fairly anywhere. They had to apprehend somebody because if a conservative firebrand that was very popular and at one point in time was helpful and supportive to Donald Trump gets killed, well, you got to have somebody responsible for it. The things that we need to be mindful of is the fact that before any details of who the shooter was released and publicly known, Donald Trump immediately blamed his political opposition. He inflamed and enraged tensions that were already there. You guys know that there are some Republicans, conservatives, and MAGA people and Trump supporters that vehemently hate Democrats. And some of those people that vehemently hate Democrats absolutely love Charlie Kirk. And I don't hold that against them. They can love who they love. I love who I want to love, right? But then when the president of the United States, who a lot of these people also admire very much, blames the Democrats, for the people that already hate Democrats and think that they are the scourge on American society, what good do you think comes of that? So it was almost like in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's killing, Donald Trump seized the opportunity to blame the entire political left and the 70-plus million people that vote for Democrats in this country. that is why I don't entirely trust who this administration say they have captured and are going to hold responsible for the killing of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk broke with Donald Trump on two very key and very sensitive issues. One is Israel. The other is the Jeffrey Epstein files, meaning Charlie Kirk was useful for a period of time to help Donald Trump get elected, not once, but twice. But then when Charlie Kirk decides he wants to exercise his own free expression, which does butt up against Donald Trump's ideas and policy pronouncements, then he is no longer useful. You think that Donald Trump is going to let somebody run around this country with a platform as big as his say the Epstein files should be released? Do you think practically now? Try to think like the man that's the 47th president of the United States. Do you think that he's going to have this 31-year-old kid, even though he's a grown man with a wife and kids with children of his own? You think that Trump is going to let him run around and say, yeah, maybe Israel is committing genocide? Charlie Kirk said that. You can't have the next generation of conservatives and young people turning against Trump. Trump, all he has is his base. That's it. He has nothing else. He's got his base. Charlie Kirk is someone that had influence over Trump's base. Dare I say more influence than Trump did? Let's be clear. Trump is almost 80 years old. He's only going to have so much influence with the TikTok generation. Trump is only going to have so much influence with the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. Charlie Kirk had more influence with this next generation of MAGAs and conservatives than Trump did. So you can't have Charlie Kirk breaking with the master. American political regimes are oppressive. You have to know that about us. We go in other countries and we kill. We send the Marines. We do regime changes all the time. We have covert wars. We have overt wars. Trump just bombed something in Venezuela just for the hell of it. We have an oppressive regime. The problem is the oppression that the United States, our manifest destiny and our colonialism is a reason why a lot of countries don't like Americans, because we protect American interests. When we have an embassy in your country, that is almost like a precursor to war. If we have an embassy in your country, we are watching you, and you better be looking out for American interests. We don't care what the country is. If we have an embassy there, we are watching you and watching your leader. And if we have an embassy in whatever country, you name the country, and if the leader of that country disagrees with American policy, politics, American sentiment, it's nothing for us to want to eliminate a president of a country that doesn't agree with America. All American presidents do it. We want harmony, but our American version of harmony is everybody, everywhere, in every country agreeing with us and allowing our form of capitalism to exist in their country. Because American companies need cheap labor. And if we have an embassy in your country, well, then it's just a matter of time before we start building stuff over in your country to take advantage of cheap labor. But if that president of whatever country disagrees with Saddam Hussein, perfect example, disagree with Americans, got to get them. Even if you got to fake a war. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. When they did those weapons searches, the UN went in, I don't know how many times to look for weapons of mass destruction. They ain't find so much as a damn bottle rocket. And when they did find Saddam Hussein, he was in a foxhole in his underwear with $1,500 in cash and an AK-47. And they dragged him out and killed him. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back, continue our chit-chat. At 11 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Dietrich Glenn from BMO Harris Bank. Have you thought about making some improvements to your home, Ricky? Would you like to know more information about a home equity line of credit? Well, we're going to be talking about borrowing money from your equity.
I don't have a home. I rent.
All right, well, then apparently that conversation ain't for you then. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Got outgrown kids' clothes, toys, books, and baby gear? Turn clutter into cash at Just Between Friends, Milwaukee County. Consigners earn 60% and get to shop early with a friend. Unsold items? Donate to help local families in need. The sale runs September 18th through the 21st at Wisconsin State Fair Expo Center. Pre-sale September 18th. Free shopping September 19th and 20th, plus half-price pre-sale and sale. Paid and free tickets available online. Register to consign, drop off items September 17th, pick up or donate September 22nd. Visit Milwaukee County JBFsale.com, helping families say yes.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on the Packers. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
What's poppin', Truth Nation? It's your girl, Noni Juice, with Ashley Lucas from Associated Bank, and this is Making Your Money Work. There's a lot we actually have to get into, okay? And one of the main things that I feel like people aren't really talking about a lot are tariffs.
Oof.
Yes, tariffs is a big one, and I think people need to know how tariffs could actually potentially impact small business clients. So how does it impact them?
Yeah, it's something that we're talking about at Associated Bank quite a bit with our business clients. We call it the big T word because it's kind of scary, but it's something that I think small businesses really do need to proactively discuss to make sure they're prepared. And something to remember is the economy changes all the time. Businesses withstand changes in the economy. So purchasing will change, right? Pricing may change depending on if they're buying outside of the United States, but maybe even within the United States. So if you have a retail store, it could potentially mean that the price of the goods that they're purchasing for their store may go up. And sometimes product may take longer. So if people start switching where they're buying from, it might take longer to get. So those are some things that if you're a business owner right now, you should be discussing with your bank or with peers or with a subject matter expert to just make sure you're prepared if it does change your business.
So how can small business owners prepare for this whole tariff situation?
So some things we always talk about with small business owners is you always want to prepare for the unexpected. And the truth is right now we don't have all the answers, right? We are learning, banks are learning, subject matter experts are learning right alongside business owners. There's a couple things you can do. One, reach out to your financial institution and ask what they know. Right now, we are getting research. We're talking to economic experts to make sure that we have the appropriate information to give to business owners.
This has been Making Your Money Work, brought to you by Associated Bank.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Let's talk to Al from Sherman Park. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, Sherwin, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. What's on your mind?
So more details have come out about the shooting suspect. His father was law enforcement who turned him over to a minister who turned him over to a top cop. I believe he was in the U.S. government law enforcement somewhere. I'm not sure if it was the FBI. But I guess he was full of hate, they said, and he wrote on the bullet casings. He was I guess, somewhat infatuated with Antifa or anti-fascist movement. He wrote on Discord, which Discord isn't that like an underground social media?
Not really.
Format?
Anybody can join a Discord. It's just like Twitch or Twitter or just another social media platform. A lot of gamers use it. Mm-hmm.
So we'll find out his motives, I guess, because he's been talking. He confessed to his family, so I guess we'll find out more about what his motivation was. But Charlie Kirk wasn't really a speaker so much as he went out and did that Prove Me That I'm Wrong challenge on college campuses for debate, which I think is a good thing for the two sides to express their views and debate it out rather than violence. So I hope both sides can talk and be open to hearing each other's point of view, which I'm not sure that's going to happen these days. But
Al,
America.
Does it bother you when someone has a very large platform and they are influential with what I believe is our most precious resource as Americans, our young people, because they will guide this country into the future. Do you find it at least distasteful when they say things like, if I get on a plane and I see a black pilot, I sure hope they're qualified, but then he wouldn't say that if he saw a white pilot because clearly they are qualified? Or if someone like that has that, hold on a second, if they have that kind of influence and they say things like, black women just don't have brain processing power, so all of the things that they have accomplished and have achieved has been through some roundabout DEI measure to make everything fair. When someone says those things about us, where even you and those like you and your family are impacted by those stereotypical words, does that at all bother you, or do you accept that?
So I go back to the full context of the debate, and I do agree that when you publicly say that you're going to choose someone based on their race or sex, that opens the door for others to question, well, were you fully qualified or will you just be chosen for your race or sex? So I don't like the doubt that brings in when you publicly announce you're going to have affirmative action based on X, Y, Z.
Al, as a black man in America, do you firmly believe that black people are put in positions like, flying commercial airliners just because they're black? Do you? I'm curious. I'm being genuine in my curiosity. Do you really believe that? That there are black people that are maybe doctors and maybe surgeons that only got their job and their residency at that hospital just because they're black, or is because they worked their tail off in medical school and they beat their peers?
Well, I come from a point of view that my father was a professional engineer. I know how hard he worked, but I also have some friends that went to medical school, and I would never be a patient of theirs because I knew them in college and they weren't that bright. So it's just,
So because like I said, black people that aren't bright, it is legitimate to question. So whatever jobs you have had, and I'm sure you've had many, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you got most, if not all of your jobs just because you were black and you had to check some kind of a box. Or would you say that you were qualified?
If you saw me there for 7 or 8 years,
that doesn't mean anything. It means you came to work for 7. It has nothing to do with anything. I know people that are horrible at what they do for a living. They come to work every single day. Do you believe? Because somebody could look at you and say, well, Al, whatever job you had, you only got it because you were black, and you probably took a white person's position. They had to hire you because of affirmative action and DEI, et cetera. Would you take offense to that, or would you agree?
Like I said, given the premise where you say you're going to choose someone based on their race or sex, I see how that can create doubt about the person. It's just the results that you get from working with that. I guess you just have to go in and work with that person. I give most people a chance, but when you show me that you aren't competent, then I'm done with you. I'm moving on to somebody else.
Okay, so you probably got some of your job just because you were black. But then, once you got the job, you showed that you were qualified. Do you think that you ever benefited from that, from affirmative action, you getting a job or a position just because you were black? Or do you believe that you were qualified for those jobs?
I know I've given other people jobs because I knew them and I knew their quality of work. Now, whether people doubted whether they were black, I would hope that the people that I brought in showed their competence.
Okay.
Like I said, you don't know until you work with the person. Like, you never know if you're working with a doctor that got a C in medical school or an A in medical school until they mess you up on the operating table.
Do you think I got this job just because I'm black or because I'm good at broadcasting? I'm just curious.
You're good at what you do. You sit and you do your work and you study and you write out your outline. I guess you do work, and I can tell between yourself and the people who wing it, who come in and do they wing their show.
I don't write down outlines, but all right. Well, thank you for your call. All right, then.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. He's a DEI hire. I could just tell by the sound of his voice. He got all of his jobs because he was black. Ain't that wild when you can't even get a black person to admit that it's harmful when someone says black people got their positions just because we were black? He couldn't even admit that that's harmful. That means you can discredit every black professional. So those of us that know that we have to be not only good, we got to be better than everybody else. And even then, we don't get considered. I wish it was that easy. Now, you know who had it that easy? White folks. There's a bunch of research that was done where an African-American man who had a college degree and no criminal background lost a job search to a white person with a high school diploma and a criminal conviction. White people get hired because they're white. Ain't nobody on earth hiring a black person just because they're black. That's stupid. That's a fatal mistake. Who does that? If you have a private company and you want to be profitable, meaning you got to be competitive against all of the other companies in your field, you got to be better than them. You got to have better margins than them. You got to have a better product than them. You got to have better service than them. You got to have better online support than them. You think this person is going to hire a bunch of black folks just because they're black? Do you think that any business owner of any race is going to risk putting themselves out of business and going into bankruptcy just to hire black people? I know we haven't lost that much damn common sense. Nobody does that in this hyper-competitive world because we are competing not just amongst people in Illinois and Minnesota and Michigan. We are competing against Canada and Mexico and India and China. Do you realistically think that any business, any company that is internationally and globally competitive is just hiring a bunch of black people because they're black? Knowing that they may lose money, they may go out of business, they may have to sell their assets and go bankrupt if they hire a bunch of unqualified black people. Who in the hell is going to do that? I'm not hiring unqualified black people. I'm also not hiring unqualified white people either. I'm not hiring unqualified people no matter what. Now, sometimes the most qualified person is a Mexican. And they're not even a citizen. Well, then what do you do now? Do you now hire the unqualified white person that's actually a citizen? Or do you hire the best person with the best experience and the best track record for your job to fill that position so you can become more profitable? I'll let you think about that. I'm going to take a break, come back, talk to the caller on the other side, see what he has to say about world affairs. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM and also on YouTube. Search 101.7 The Truth on YouTube and hit subscribe. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
School's back in session. Kids have their backpacks, school supplies, and new clothes. But are you ready as a parent? Families are the single most important factor in a child's academic success. This year, get to know your child's teachers. Stay engaged with their learning. Don't be shy about asking questions along the way. Because as a parent, you are your child's first and most important teacher. Learn more about how City Forward Collective is helping families, students, and schools thrive at cityforwardcollective.org.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Tired of hearing no from other banks? No to a loan? No to a checking account? Just no? At Brewery Credit Union, we find ways to say yes. Yes to second chances. Yes to rebuilding credit. Yes to helping you save, borrow, and thrive. Work with our credit specialists and move your financial life forward. Brewery Credit Union, Milwaukee's best place to borrow and save. Visit brewerycu.com. That is brewerycu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Am I reading this correctly? Hang on a second. Let me turn that blue mist down. Album available now on Spotify. So hang on a second. Curly Q via the YouTube chat says, Al from Sherman Park called into Dr. Ken's show the same day near tears, urging conservatives to vote as a response to what happened. Jesus Christ. Let me try and conceptualize this in my mind. Every single day, black people have to deal with macro and microaggressions everywhere. Just the appearance of us, people think we're criminals, think we're unqualified, think that we only benefit from affirmative action and DEI. They have no appreciation for how much we do and how hard we have to work. And there was a person, now listen, he had the right to say whatever he said now, something that Charlie Kirk said. But a lot of what he said are the same narratives that black people, we kill ourselves overextending our work ethic to show and to prove, maybe not to them, but certainly to ourselves, because when you have centuries and generations just belittling you and reducing you to nothing, you got to work extra hard. And so there was someone who had a pretty large following that would just reduce us black people to nothing. He said in his own words, if he saw a black pilot, he was skeptical about getting on the plane because clearly that pilot didn't go through airline training, flight school, and get all of his hours in. He was just hired to fly a commercial jet just because they were black. So Charlie Kirk would be scared getting on that plane. He would always question the qualifications of a black person. So if there's someone that speaks that way and they're conservative, as an African American, how on God's green can you support that person that creates false narratives about black people that when you go out into the real world, you got to deal with? I'm missing something here. I really am. Because if there was a Democrat or a libertarian or a Christian or an atheist or an agnostic that had a large platform and a large influential following, and they use that platform to further hurt me and those that look like me, I would not vote for whatever political party they were affiliated with. And that's just at the bare minimum. Sometimes I'm perplexed at why we don't make more progress as black folks. And other times I know exactly why. Because if there is a political party or an apparatus in this country that thinks that we are so under the thumb of criminality that they got to send the military to our cities, that's a political party that doesn't agree with my sentiments. I just can't hate black people that much Some days y'all make me really mad, but when y'all are hardest to love, you need love most. Let's talk to the caller. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Well, we got love times love, my brother, and I'm glad you're doing better. You sound like you're stronger.
Thank you.
So I want to start there. Yeah, I didn't hear it till afterwards. I probably would have dropped some more healthy snacks off for you from Whole Foods because they got a lot of real good fruit, man. They still have Rainier cherry, so that's my positive note. There is no positive, brother, in a man who was actually shot spewing the last words he ever stated were hate that he spewed. So if you're a Christian evangelical, you have to realize that this man didn't even repent for his hate of God's children because his last words were similar to what you were saying, attaching criminality to black faces. And we know that, we have a president who they elected who has crimes that, people wouldn't be able to get a job mopping a floor if they had one of. And so for Al to hear what you just said, for example, if Al were a pilot, this gentleman would not want to ride on your plane. But you're going to love him. And that's why I say, I've said this to you before, we have to be more specific when we utilize the word we, because looking like us actually means nothing. People who look like us, my sister just left down about a month ago. People who look like us sold us and put us on the bottom of a ship to come to hell. We survived it, and now actually, Professor Hughes, the world is jealous of people like you and me. We come from this place where, it's like our parents ran from Mississippi and succeeded. They worked hard, and they're envious because they know that they were given everything. And I'm sure you've listened to Dr. Claude Anderson talk about how they were given thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres that now our vice president has invested in a company where European companies will buy the land that they were given. So that's what they get. I'll never say someone deserves to die, but I have no sadness for an individual who hates my own existence. And if you do, you are probably likely a descendant, Al from Sherman Park. I'm ashamed that he attaches this wonderful, diverse area to his name. If you're willing to attach that, you're probably a descendant of the people who sold us here. And that's all I have today, brother. You have a good weekend. Hope to see you at Groundfield Days.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. Let me be clear about something. If you spew hatred, especially about black people, that's how you gain popularity. When you want to hold Donald Trump accountable, that's what gets you in trouble. Does that make sense? If you spew falsehoods, generalizations, stereotypes, and lies about black people, you will gain political power and popularity, and people will throw money at you. If you hate black people, if you make a credible case about how horrible black people are and how we're all criminals and how we deserve the harshest punishment and how we don't deserve civil rights because once we got rights, we became more violent, you will become rich and you'll become popular. But if you push back against the political system that gives you that fame and that popularity, because they need people to diminish black progress, because black people, we're so good. We're so good at stuff. You give us like a nail, a 2x4, and a piece of twine, and we'll build a car. We're so resourceful because we had to get by with so little for so long. It becomes a part of who we are. And so you need people and forces and influence that can diminish black people, because imagine what we would be and what we would become if they supported us. If we were looked at as Americans like everybody else and you didn't have people that could get rich off disrespecting us. So I'm going to take a break, come back. I'm going to talk to Dietrich Glenn from BMO Harris, and we're going to talk about home equity lines of credit because it all fits together. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for Hour 3.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Come in with straight truth.
Everything got a message. I'll say this. Y'all can't be tired if y'all still messing with the negative energy. Every day I get on and say, the power of the tongue. Your impulsive negative thoughts, reacting, and these kids watching you reacting all wild and crazy. The programming you watching on TV, the music. And now, like Security Mike said, it's popular to pop somebody. It's popular now. And these kids coming back to somebody's house. They coming to eat a meal at somebody's house. They hanging out with somebody in the neighborhood who got a house, who paying the rent. They hanging out with you. They may be your relative. They may be your buddy. That social acceptance is there. Understand what I'm saying? So when we really tired, we gonna cut it off. We gonna stop it.
Tune in to all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows all day, every day by downloading the Truth app.
How is it possible for somebody to be found guilty of something and serve no jail time? How is it possible that someone can get a first offense misdemeanor when it comes to marijuana here in the state of Wisconsin and can face up to 6 months in jail, but two men who are convicted of murder get probation? This is not what justice is about. Why does this keep happening, Truth Nation? And why does it always seem like black people die and we don't get the justice that we deserve? How should we react to this? If you commit a crime, you must do the time. If you take somebody's life, you have to pay the cost. I don't care that it was an accident, because it does not make sense to me how someone can be murdered and somehow they get no time. Even if you accidentally kill somebody, you are still a murderer, especially when you plead guilty to felony murder. Marijuana will get you more time in jail than killing somebody, especially when it comes to a black man here in America, unfortunately.
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
All of your favorite 1017 The Truth content whenever you want. The Truth app has it all. The Truth is on 1017 and 1510 WGKB Waukesha, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. In studio, Mr. Dietrich Glenn of BMO Bank. Mr. Glenn, happy Friday. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Sherman, and thank you very much for having me on the show today.
Sherwin.
Gotcha.
All right. So I might want to make some improvements to my home. Maybe I want to update my kitchen, Dietrich. Maybe I want to create a recreational room in my basement. And I've been in my house for some years now, and I have some equity. I know that home improvements can be very, very expensive. How can a home equity line of credit help me out in making some of those investments in my home?
Yeah, Sherman, we can definitely dive right into that. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I have very extensive experience in home equity lending solutions. So I'm here to share some insights with your audience here, and answer some common questions about HELOCs and how it could be a great fit for their needs. Over the years, I've helped a ton of customers unlock the potential in their home and achieve their personal goals as well as their financial goals. So you asked me a question about, what's a HELOC and how does it work? So a HELOC is definitely a line of credit. It's similar to a credit card. But it's secured by your home. So you only pay interest on what you borrow. You can repay it. When you repay it, right, and you borrow again, that's when you actually pay interest. Okay?
So if I get a home equity line of credit, let's say for $50,000, and I don't use any of it, I don't have to pay any interest on that $50,000, but it is there when I needed to make necessary improvements to my home. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All
but
right.
We do offer another product that's actually fixed, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the most common one is a revolving line of credit, which we just referenced.
Tell us about that revolving line of credit.
Definitely. So there's an access period, and that's actually labeled a draw period, and it's typically 10 years. So during that draw period, you can borrow as much as needed, right, by making interest-only payments. After that time, you go into a repayment period, which is typically 20 years, where you pay both principal and interest to make sure that it's paid off within 30 years. Most HELOCs have a variable interest rate that's tied to prime. It fluctuates with the market. So, but you can choose, like I mentioned earlier, to have a fixed payment in a fixed term that won't change, right? So that some customers like that structure because it's flexible and they know what their expenses are going to be and they know what their payment will be.
Is the repayment on the home equity line of credit, is it a separate payment or is it rolled into your mortgage? So is it two payments that someone have to make, their mortgage, principal, and interest, and also repaying the HELOC, or is it just one payment per month?
That's a good question. So your mortgage is going to be totally separate from your HELOC. So your HELOC is an additional line of credit, which can be fixed. So you would have a fixed monthly payment just like a mortgage. Or you could set it up where you're paying interest only, where it would be revolving. And that's what's tied to prime rate.
What are some things that people can use a home equity line of credit for?
Great question. Customers typically use home equity lines of credit for home renovations, debt consolidation, potentially to lower rates that they have. Some people pay for education costs, emergency funds, or maybe large purchase opportunities. So it's a versatile solution that adapts for life's ever-changing needs. So whether it's planned or expected, for example, a customer may use a HELOC just to remodel their kitchen and then tap into it later to pay down some tuition or medical expenses.
Got to talk about interest rates because I know there are some folks that are considering a home equity line of credit, and interest rates are always a deciding factor. Are they similar to what typical interest rates are, say, on a 10, 15, or 30-year mortgage, or are HELOC interest rates different, calculated differently?
Yeah, they're different, right? There's different margins. So, depending on, what you're actually looking for, repayment terms and things like that, they're going to be different. So you're going to want to check with your loan officer on that one.
They're typically used for home improvements and updates, but I've even heard of people getting a home equity line of credit and buying something like a car. So are there prohibited uses of that money, or once somebody has the home equity line of credit, they can use it for whatever they want? Can they go on vacation with it? Can they buy a timeshare with it? Or are there stipulations on the borrowed money?
So we like to know up front typically what a customer is borrowing for. But once they've borrowed the funds are theirs, right? So, that's a twofold question.
Fair enough. I'm sure some folks may be inquiring, what about some of the benefits for customers in getting a home equity line of credit?
Sure. So what happens is HELOCs typically offer rates lower than unsecured lines of credit. So they also provide flexible access to your funds and can provide potential tax advantages. So what happens is they're attractive for customers because it helps them manage their expenses without taking large sums of money. For instance, when you take your mortgage out, that's a large sum of money. Well, for a HELOC, you may not need to use all those funds. So you can only take what you need and your payment will be based on that amount.
How does someone begin the process and the approval process? How does that all shape up?
Yeah. So that's a good question, right? So approval for HELOC depends on key factors like credit score, income, debt-to-income ratio, your home value. So documentation typically is maybe tax returns, pay stubs, different items like that. And then lenders usually assess the customer's loan to value. So in essence, what that is how much your house is worth based on what you have in equity. So if you have a mortgage, you're already using a portion of your equity. So whatever the value of your house minus that mortgage, that's what's going to be your loan to value. And so, like I said, common documentation includes tax returns. Then they do a property evaluation, which is called an appraisal, just to confirm the market value. The underwriting process ensures that a customer can responsibly pay the loan back, and meet their loan obligations. So while the underwriting timeline can vary, you want to be prepared with the correct documents to ensure that it's a streamlined approval process.
So an appraisal is likely a part of this process as well. So when someone begins their application for a home equity line of credit, I'd imagine BMO, will you guys send out an appraiser, or is that on the homeowner's responsibility to have their home appraised?
Yeah, so what happens is we'll send out an appraiser. There's multiple different appraisals. There's sometimes electronic appraisals, sometimes there's drive-by appraisals, sometimes there's full inspections. So it typically depends on the loan.
All right. Are there any fees that customers should be made aware of, origination fees, et cetera, things like that?
Yeah, there's always small fees that are involved. I really don't have a fee schedule right now, but your loan officer would be able to really get you up to date, but very minimal.
All right. If people want more information, is there a website, a telephone number, an email address?
Yeah, definitely. You want to go to BMO.com. And on BMO.com, we actually have home equity lines of credit. We have an option where you can click on that. I believe there's even an option where you can simulate your payment, so you'll understand exactly what you're looking to borrow. At this particular interest rate, what would it cost to repay the loan on a monthly basis?
BMO.com is the website.
BMO.com.
All right. Thank you, Dietrich Glenn. We appreciate you giving us this information about home equity lines of credit. Now, let me go ahead and get myself one so I can build a wing to my house.
Definitely.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hey, is this Carolyn?
It is.
Congratulations, Carolyn. You just won this.
Congratulations. Woo! God is good all the time.
What would you do with $5,000?
I'm going to buy my nieces some school clothes because my nephew just passed away.
Aww.
So I'm going to get them some clothes.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. To learn more about how you can take your first steps in buying your forever home, visit associatedbank.com/lending. That's associatedbank.com/lending. Or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Come catch the final battle of the regular season when the Brewers host the Reds Friday, September 26th through Sunday, September 28th. We're celebrating the best fans in the game on Saturday, the 27th at Fan Appreciation Night, presented by Toyota. Plus, if you're one of the first 30,000 fans through the gates, you'll take home a Brewers tumbler giveaway too, presented by Quick Trip. Come close out the regular season with the crew. Get your seats today at brewers.com/tickets.
Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all.
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 Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
One call, that's all.
Make your home safer. Get rid of unused household chemicals at MMSD Home Hazmat Drop-Off. It's free to visit a collection center. Get all the info you need at MMSD.com. Milwaukee County residents only, no businesses.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Today is Friday, everybody. This is my first week back. I was gone all last week. I just, I needed a little break last week. Coming back this week, this has been a long week because I fell out of my routine, So I had to I think I'm a little bit better now, but the first couple of days back, I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I'm good. Once you step away for a little bit, you fall out of your routine. How you doing, Ricky? You doing all right? At least you had me every day this week as opposed to last week. You had some of everybody. You had DT and Dr. Ken. Who else you have?
You just made me sound like a radio I'm just hopping around in radio. Like, you had DT.
You had a lot of co-hosts or fill-ins for me.
But yeah, no, I had a lot of hosts to fill in. Yeah.
Was Telly here? Did Telly do any?
No, I requested Telly actually.
Oh, Kyle was here. He filled in for a little while.
I didn't request Kyle, but he was here.
You probably don't want to say on air who you did and didn't request.
I don't care.
Clearly you don't. Let's talk to a patiently waiting JD. Sorry, JD. I saw you were on hold, and I thought I'd be able to get you in before our interview, but the previous caller went a little long. So the floor is yours, sir.
Why, thank you. I called in because I had some fire. There's a lot of chatter on the board, and it was some nonsense spewed earlier on the line. So we need to get it all the way right. Is you ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
It's called What is Justice? You say you don't want to die. You say you don't want to die because there is no cause to die for. Now, what would cause you to say that? Is your 401k fat and you have equity? My whole neighborhood is undervalued. They took that from me. Justice is ethical. Treat people fair and equitably. You keep your equality. Nothing is equal to white supremacy. Justice is moral. Do what is just. Don't do harm to others. Accountability is a must. Justice requires due process. We don't lock up political opponents. Never arbitrarily sent to El Salvador without a legal onus. Justice in the Bible says, render them what is due. I'll take the monetary amount or my 40 acres and a mule. The Lord is right. He loves justice. The Bible teaches us that, so we must be of service. Justice is in God's character. Is it in yours? God was not in Europeans when they came to these shores. I am not a black Christian nationalist, and I embody Jesus. I believe in my nation because I, like you, benefit off the thievery. We are 4% of the world and use 25% of the resources. If that's not injustice, please check your sources. Who listening right now drives a big SUV? It's just you and your husband. Who is listening to me? Justice is living in the spirit. In Old Testament Hebrew, spirit is feminine. Do you respect Mother Earth? If not, all our death is imminent. Stand up and be counted as a righteous, just human. They're killing kids in the Congo and Gaza. We need a revolution. Don't take up arms. They're expecting that. Fight with dollars and knowledge. That's how we combat. Justice is the old grandmother sitting on her porch, her grandchildren singing, the black one with a torch. They just finished burning down the last vestiges of American justice. She can return peacefully to the ancestors. My vision is harsh and must be trusted. I love you, Truth Nation. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, JD. That was fantastic. I really do appreciate all of the self-reflection that is taking place. And I don't know if this level of self-reflection and I guess critical thinking and curiosity would be taking place if Charlie Kirk would not have been felled by an assassin. There has to be somebody somewhere, and maybe it's one of the college kids somewhere on the campus that maybe listened to Charlie Kirk before. They follow him on social media, or they followed his Prove Me Wrong, I guess, segments that he was known for. Someone who's still trying to find their way in the world, because when you're a young person, you have no clue. You have no idea. If you're 19 years old and in your freshman year of undergrad or your first year of trade school or beauty school, you can do your best to plan for your future. But at 19, you have no idea what 50 looks like. You have no clue. You can look at what other 50-year-old people's lives are like, but I assure you, your life probably won't be anything like theirs. And so if you're in this, I call it a vulnerable state of youth, because you have no idea. Responsibilities haven't hit you yet. The world hasn't really shown you its true colors just yet. You're very impressionable. You're looking for things that can help make sense of the world. And if you have limited knowledge and limited understanding, a conservative firebrand might be speaking directly to you because, hell, you don't know any better. You don't have any real-life lived experience. And I get it. I know some people will say at 19, they lived a long life and they did a lot of things and they've been through so much. Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. But whatever it was that you went through your first 19 years, the next 21 years will be even more profound than your first 19. But there has to be somebody somewhere who very much believes in and adheres to MAGA, Make America Great Again. You got to get rid of these immigrants. You got to send the military into these blue, Democratic-controlled, majority-minority cities. You want to bring American jobs back. If you really believe that, you have to be second-guessing. Because there's some young people that think it's perfectly okay to believe that non-citizens should not be here, not having any concept of the history, especially Ronald Reagan, who made a public speech saying America wouldn't even be the country that it is if it wasn't for immigrants. In fact, Ronald Reagan brought us as close to amnesty for illegals as we've ever gotten, and he was a very conservative, evangelical Christian Republican. I wonder if any of those people are questioning their beliefs about black people. If a black person is a pilot, or if a black person is a radio host, that they only got that job because, well, they were black and it must be some kind of affirmative action. A moment on that. There's probably some people that think, oh, Truth, 1017 The Truth, it's a black radio station, and Sherwin was hired here just because he's black. I don't know. Maybe. But if you believe that, thanks, Rick, I'll outperform any radio host of any race, culture, and creed you put in front of me. I'll outwork them. I'll outprepare them. I'll make more sense than them in every single measure. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I was hired because I'm black. The problem is I got hired because I'm black and I'm better than everybody else. That's a rough one to deal with. That's tough right there. That's a tough pill to swallow. But I wonder if people are second-guessing some of their beliefs and their views because, you know, we have this thing called freedom of speech, but you're not free from consequences. Now, should somebody die because of what they say? In a perfect world, no. But, you know, people die every day, B. People die for less. Did you know that we live in a country where some people die for nothing? Do you know that we live in a country where some people die because they can't afford their health care? Do you know that some people die because the water is poisonous? Did you know that? You can say whatever you want within reason. You can believe whatever you want without reason. But there are always consequences. And here's something that if there's a young person listening, and I have no idea if there's young people listening to me, there's always going to be a consequence to your action. So you have to ask yourself, is the action I'm taking or the words that I'm spewing worth what the consequence may be? And if you say yes, I support you. Now, let me say this about this real unusual inflection moment in American history. I know that Charlie Kirk was deeply, deeply religious, and I saw one little excerpt of him talking to somebody in a crowd on a college campus, and somebody asked him about his faith, and he was like, Jesus Christ saved my life. I turned my life over to Jesus Christ, and everything in my life got better. I will not take that away from him nor anybody else. I also will say this, and while there's a tremendous amount of anger and there's sympathy and everybody is woe is me and what does this mean next? Is this going to be a civil war? Let's think about it in these terms. Charlie Kirk died doing what he loved. Now, it's all of us that survived him that may say, well, that's not fair for somebody to kill him. He died doing what he loved. There's a saying, I've heard it before. I'm probably going to butcher the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of, do what you love and let it kill you. Find that thing that you were passionate about and do it until you can't do it anymore. And so if something happens to you while you are exercising your passion, this thing that you love, and here's the thing, other folks may not even understand it. They don't need to. It's not their passion, it's yours. It's the thing that brings you great joy. Have you ever had a job that you love so much, it doesn't even feel like you're working? You would do it for free. Maybe you have a hobby, something you just absolutely feel at peace with when you are involved in whatever that activity is. Do it to death. And if something happens to you while you were doing the thing that you love, at least you died for a cause. At least you died for something. I think what is missed with younger generations is because we have been so bombarded with instant gratification. You can order certain things on Amazon and they'll be at your house the same day. You don't even have to leave the house. I've had Amazon orders and DoorDash orders arrive at the same time. And they'll look at each other like, oh, fancy seeing you here. The moment we decide that we want something in this current society, we get it. Everything is instantaneous. That is not how change works, though. The people that we so admire from the civil rights movement, or whatever movement you can look at throughout history, and maybe something resulted from those movements that was positive. Better accommodations, more rights, safer workplaces, because we had a whole labor movement in this country, whatever it was. Here's something that we fail to see. Like, we can appreciate the benefit that we have now from somebody else's work and somebody else's struggle. But here's the thing. The people that work the hardest in those movements will never know their names. They've just been eroded by history. But something else that we don't see is people dedicated their entire lives to those movements. That's missing now. There are very few people that are going to say, I'm going to dedicate my life. Every waking moment that I have on earth, someone may say, I'm going to dedicate it to this cause of helping people or providing justice or registering voters or informing people or being a teacher, whatever the case may be. People dedicate their lives to that, and I think that we discount that because nobody wants to dedicate their lives to anything, I think, except for selfish stuff. Very few people dedicate their lives to the causes they believe in. And I admire the people that do. Now, we have major disagreements politically. And, of course, I disagreed with Charlie Kirk a lot. But didn't he die doing what he loved? Even if we didn't love what he did, it was his passion. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details of why I believe he was killed. It was a politically motivated killing. But here's the thing we got to ask ourselves, whose politics killed him? Democrats, leftists, and liberals got nothing from his assassination. In fact, they're going to get more harm. You got to think practically about this now. What good would it do knowing that there'll be another Charlie Kirk? Literally, there's probably already another one now. What good would it do them? Who would it benefit if he was once a feared and vehement, motivated Donald Trump supporter, and then he begins to break with Trump on issues that are creating Donald Trump's vulnerability. Donald Trump's got two vulnerabilities. The wars he said that he was going to stop, which he simply can't do. He doesn't have the ability to do it. He's not respected enough on the world stage. He thinks just by being president of the United States that other leaders are just going to listen to him. Vladimir Putin is laughing at him and us. Can't stop the war in the Middle East. Can't stop the war in Ukraine. That is his biggest liability. Because people said, Sherwin, I don't like Trump. I don't like what he says. You know, he's a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. But he's going to stop the wars. Well, he can't. So that's a big liability for him. These Epstein files is really getting him, too, because Trump knows what he did. He knows what he did. He just doesn't want you all to know what he did. And when someone that was a fierce supporter of his says that those Epstein files should be released. Charlie Kirk said it. He was like, yeah, let's just get them out there. Let's just see what's in it. Trump can't have that. Now, when you're president of the United States, especially this one, with a very accommodating U.S. Supreme Court and both houses of conference, you can do whatever you want, including and leading up to eliminating anything and anyone that gets in your way, or anything or anyone that sacrifices your political credibility with your base. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk died doing what he loved. It's just unfortunate that it had to happen the way that it did. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Talk to these people in terms of how do I register for this program despite my reservations and my previous experiences of rejection?
Yes, I tell anybody and everybody that you can buy a house. It may take somebody longer than the other person depending on what your circumstances is with your credit and income and affordability, but you can purchase a house. The first step would be is to register for our program. You can come to our office, 7830 West Burleigh Street, or you can give us a call at 414-461-6330, or just go onto our website, hri-wi.org. Register for the first-time home buyer education workshop. That's going to be your first step to home ownership. During that class, you're going to learn everything that you need to know from A to Z, how to get approved for a house, how to look for a house and put an accepted offer, and how to close on a home.
We address people, young boys, as if they're grown when they're not. For me, they're not young men, they're young boys. And I think if we can keep them in that space, I can do a lot more with someone in middle school when I treat them as the boy that they are versus trying to make them men when they're not, and they probably have very few examples of that.
Listen to The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. Coming with straight truth.
Corey, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you when I first started hearing your voice. And what you're doing, in the words of T-Pain and Gorilla, I love it.
Thank you, brother. Bless.
Hey, I'm down with you, man. I missed your last gathering, but the next one I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make sure I introduce myself because, hey, you're God in all circumstances.
Catch The Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Never miss a moment of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on the new 1017 The Truth.
Violence is a tool. Violence is a tool of oppression. It's a tool of subjugation. It's a tool of manifest destiny. Let's not say all of a sudden, oh, hip-hop music is why people are right. No. Y'all know how America was discovered? Murder, slavery, human trafficking. The origins of violence predates hip-hop. Can we at least agree on that?
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tap into the best power hour in radio in Milwaukee.
Dropped my pants. I had to make sure I wasn't seen. You know, I don't want nobody to get surprised.
This is a sick Negro.
I'm just the real one. I peed again, came on back. I said, what y'all been doing? We've been out here for 3 hours. Y'all ain't peed yet? Just sitting here, we playing beer pong, and y'all sitting here peeing next to me? I'm still itchy today. Thinking something wrong. Am I the only one that's astonished by this?
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Calling all black-owned business owners and entrepreneurs, are you looking to share your story? We've teamed up with Associated Bank for our black-owned business give back. Each quarter, 4 lucky business owners will win an opportunity to spotlight their brand and their journey on 1017 The Truth. To sign up for your Black Business Spotlight interview, visit blackbusinessgiveback.com. That is blackbusinessgiveback.com. Let's rebuild our community through exposure on 1017 The Truth. For official contest rules, head to blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank member FDIC. Apparently they got the suspect. So call me skeptical. Actually, call me Sherwin. Not Sherman. Good God. Call me skeptical and also call me a critical thinker. Now, I have a lot of reasons, and I can provide the evidence if you need it. I don't believe what comes out of this administration. I don't. I need a lot of fact-checking, and I got to verify things to the best of my ability. But also, when your government tells you stuff, you don't always have the tools and the ability to research whether it's true or not. We just have to take it at face value. There was a time that if someone running for office had a reputation as a liar, they lost the election. Because we have to have a level of trust of the people that we give our votes to, because when they are legislating and executing the law on our behalf, we want them to be honest. That's why we put them there. They used to call Abraham Lincoln Honest Abe. I mean, I'm not sure what he was honest about, but we used to like when somebody was honest. So if there's someone who has been a proven and demonstrated liar, like somebody that said that they won an election that they actually lost, I can't believe anything that they say. But also, that's critical thinking. Just because you hear something doesn't mean you should always trust it. Now, there are some people, in my opinion, who are more credible than others, or I tend to believe them, or I have to do less research or less fact-checking when certain people say certain things. But this administration and how it has been operating, not just in this term, but even in the first term, tells me I cannot trust it. They will tell me that crime is so bad in my city that they got to send in the military. They'll tell me that the reason why there is despair in this country is because people fled over here from across the border to get jobs. Those are the people that are apparently the murderers and the killers and making America an unlivable place. Well, millions of them have been deported, and jobs numbers are bleak. We actually have 1 million less jobs now than we did 1 year ago when Joe Biden was president. So as I'm reading this story here of the individual that they apprehended for the killing of Charlie Kirk, I don't believe it. Why would I? Now, know this much. Donald Trump is controlling the Department of Justice and the FBI, and they had to catch somebody. I don't entirely believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. I don't believe it. So many people wanted John Fitzgerald Kennedy dead. Fidel Castro wanted him dead. The mob, Sam Giancana, who ran the Chicago outfit, wanted him dead. Nikita Khrushchev, the premier of Russia at the time, wanted him dead. I don't know if Lee Harvey Oswald was the man, but I know that they had to catch somebody. It's very interesting because Lee Harvey Oswald was like, yeah, I don't even know why they're arresting me. You guys ever seen some of those old archival clips? He's like, I don't know what's going on. But then when Lee Harvey Oswald was about to be, taken to jail where he probably was going to give some kind of a statement, then Jack Ruby killed him, so we never even heard from Lee Harvey Oswald. I'm just saying, I don't know if I believe it. And that was a precision shot, too. The JFK headshot. In fact, that individual, whoever did it, I guess we're going to have to say it's Lee Harvey Oswald, got like 2 or 3 shots off in like a second and a half from the top floor of the book suppository building in a moving vehicle, bolt action rifle. Like, whoo, Have you guys shot guns before? I'm curious. Some of you probably have. The further away the target is, the smaller it gets and the harder it is to hit, let alone if the target is moving. Just saying. So this individual, Tyler Robinson, who is, I guess this changes their narrative. Officials have identified the person accused of fatally shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk as 22-year-old Utah resident Tyler Robinson. How does this change the narrative? That, again, I don't believe things that Donald Trump says. If Donald Trump says, oh, it's the radical left, then it was the Democrats that effectuated the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Well, apparently NBC News has this guy pinned as a conservative activist. So what does that mean for you conservatives when one of your own killed one of your own? And Charlie Kirk was not just one of your own. He was leading a movement of MAGA youth, of conservative youth, the next 1 or 2 generations of conservative Republican voters. And Charlie Kirk had an overwhelming amount of influence over them. The left doesn't even have a Charlie Kirk. Who's our Charlie Kirk? We don't got one. Who is it? Who does the left? We ain't got nobody. That's part of the damn problem. It ain't Obama. I don't even know where Barack Obama is. I have somebody check on Barack Obama. It ain't Joe Biden. We don't know where he is either. Kamala Harris, we know where she is. She's on a book tour. She's not our Charlie Kirk. Who is the left's Charlie Kirk? Who is going around galvanizing people, getting people all fired up, trying to tell people to vote, trying to talk to the youth on the college campus? We don't have a damn we got TikTok. That's who the left had. The left ain't even got no Charlie Kirk. So what does that mean when the narrative of the Democrats and the liberals and the radical left, Donald Trump said, oh, that was who killed Charlie Kirk. NBC News has this dude pegged as a conservative. Maybe the conservative movement is imploding on itself. And let me just go ahead and say this. I'm not at all ever going to promote violence. First of all, because that's too easy. Convincing an American to do something violent is the easiest thing you can do. Nonviolence is the tough part. Ask Dr. King. Oh, can't, because they killed him violently. What does this mean when the conservative movement, maybe it's imploding on itself. Maybe conservatives in the conservative movement think that Trumpism has gone too far and MAGA has gone too far. Now, somebody that votes for Democrats, that's not my fight. I don't need to engage in fights that I'm not willing to die for. And that's conservatives getting mad at each other. Don't bring that to me. In fact, if they're going to be harming one another because of their internal political disagreements, I would much rather y'all do it in private. That's on y'all. And I know the Democrats have had some internal disagreements, too. There's a whole bunch of Democrats that didn't like how Kamala Harris was essentially selected, even though she was the vice president. There were some Democrats that were real mad at the process, and maybe they didn't vote, or maybe they cast a rebellious vote for Donald Trump or some third party because they didn't want Kamala Harris to be the nominee because maybe they knew something that we didn't. Maybe they knew that Kamala Harris couldn't win. I remember with 110 or 12 days left, people said, oh, the Democrats need to have a primary. I knew for all intents and purposes that was not enough time to have a Democratic primary election in all 50 states. There was not enough time. I knew that we wanted to beat Donald Trump for some pretty obvious reasons. I wasn't really a fan of his first term. I'm not a fan of his policies and his lies and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I was not going to vote for Donald Trump. I was going to vote for whoever the Democrats put up. And because I had no influence on who the Democrats put up, whoever they had is whoever I was going to go with, because I know that at least they would be reasonable on policies that are very important to the city of Milwaukee and Wisconsin, the Midwest, and the United States of America. I didn't overthink it. It was a very easy choice for me. It was an easy choice for me in 2016. It was an easy choice for me in 2020. Most of my presidential election votes have been very easy choices. The Democrats don't have a... Am I missing? Who is it? What's the lady's name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? But she's not really like a commentator or a media person. She's a member of Congress. I don't think the Democrats have a Charlie Kirk. Now, if the hardcore right is having their own internal civil war, don't ask. I'm not even going to referee that fight because at this point, what are they even arguing about? How how Trump supportive you should be. How far is too far? Like, what is it? Israel? Like, what are they disagreeing on? The wars, the economy? I should ask one of these people that call my show. There's a lot of Republican conservatives that call my show. So if we come to find out that the person that killed Charlie Kirk is also a conservative activist, like, why was he mad at him? Maybe he'll talk. What's his name? Tyler Robinson. Should I try to get him on the show? No, that'd probably be in bad taste. Y'all got mad at me because I interviewed Tony Cotton, who represented Maxwell Anderson. I thought that was fine journalism. You know, the guy that killed Sade Robinson, I interviewed Maxwell Robinson's attorney. Some of y'all didn't like that. I got some very colorful emails after that interview. But I'm curious, are there people who are willing to speak up and speak out, who are Republicans, who are conservatives, that are tired of Trump's mess? Or do they still maintain their silence? Is anybody willing to speak up? Because there were Democrats that didn't like Kamala Harris. There were Democrats that didn't like Joe Biden. They spoke up. Are there Republicans willing to stand up and be brave and be bold and talk about the things they don't like about Trump and the direction of the country and how his policies are backfiring and how him usurping our democracy is dangerous for everybody? I would love to talk to a Republican who has that kind of courage. I used to think Republicans were tough. Now they just follow a really small-minded man. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said at a press conference on Friday morning that investigators arrested and identified Robinson after analyzing surveillance footage, interviewing Robinson's family members, and reviewing online messages between Robinson and his roommate. Quote, "We got him," the governor said, standing with FBI Director Kash Patel and other law enforcement officials. Robinson is expected to be charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, and obstruction of justice, according to a probable cause affidavit. Charlie Kirk, a co-founder of Turning Point USA and an influential voice in the Trump administration, was shot and killed on Wednesday during an event at Utah Valley University, a public school south of Salt Lake City. His killing launched a multi-day manhunt among local, state, and federal authorities. Governor Cox said that a family member of Robinson's reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. According to Cox, investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson's who said he had, quote, become more political in recent years. I don't think I believe it. I don't believe it. If you're going to admit that you did it, then just surrender. What you hiding for? You know what I mean? If he did it and say, oh, yeah, I'm telling my family and my friends that I did it. If the man that they have apprehended as a suspect actually did it, why not just be like, yeah, it was me? Haven't you guys ever seen mass shooters before? And then the police come, like they'll shoot up like a church or something? I think there's a mass shooting that I'm thinking of. I don't know if it was the synagogue in Oak Creek. But when the police came, the shooter they got on their knees. They put their hands up. Have you ever seen a mass shooter surrender? And I know that when we witness that sometimes, we get very angry because we think the police should shoot them. But I've seen all sorts of footage of mass shooters just surrendering when law enforcement comes. If this individual, what his name is? Tyler Robinson. He looks like a Tyler Robinson. If he believed that he was righteous in his cause in shooting and killing Charlie Kirk, why go on the run and why admit it to somebody else? Why not just turn yourself in? So I'm going to be obviously following the developments like a hawk, even though I'm not going to believe 92.4% of what the media is putting out there. Because remember, Donald Trump and his administration has threatened and sued a bunch of media outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, when they published that letter that Donald Trump, that birthday card that Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein. So the media is bought and paid for, but not by who you think it is. I think the media is bought and paid for by the Trump administration, or they're afraid to tell the truth because they're also afraid of Donald Trump's retaliation and retribution. So I'm going to take a break, come back. We're going to talk to Adam on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history, like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design.
Great impressions.
Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law Offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law offices.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. Build a customized renter's policy with American Family Insurance so you can protect your tandem bike on the go. Thief! Oh, he is struggling with that two-seater. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Some exclusions may apply. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Eight 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Let's talk to Adam. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
I'm great for an old guy.
All right.
Yeah. What I wanted to say to you about we don't have anybody. A lot of us should start listening to Jasmine Crockett, the young lady from Texas. She is fabulous. You know who she is, huh?
Yeah, I've interviewed her at least twice. Very familiar with her.
You need to interview her some more. She is on the ball. She's one of the greatest orators I've heard in my 80-some years out here in this earth. And another thing, you still owe me my money for using me as a commercial. When I'm gonna get my check?
Never. Hold on, wait. It's in the mail. Go on out there and look for it in the mailbox. It'll be, go ahead. If you don't get it today, you'll get it tomorrow.
All right. Hey, that's all I wanted to say today, man. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Talking about he won a check. First of all, I don't even know who made that commercial. It's funny, though. What is that? What does he say in it? Oh, because I thought he was just listening on the radio and he was watching me on YouTube. And I said, Adam, you too old to know how to use YouTube. Yeah, I'm 84 years old. I know how to use the YouTube. So we put it in a little promo from my show. But that's not how this works. If you hear one of your telephone calls in an ad or a promo on any of our shows, just say thank you. Always trying to get paid. How much what will we give him? $8? You want $8, Adam? Here, what's your Cash App, man? I'll send you $8 for being in the commercial. Let's talk to someone who doesn't need $8 to appear in a promo for 1017 The Truth. It's Al. Hello, Al. How are you today?
I'm good. It's Friday. I hope everybody let their hair down. You know, you said the Republicans, why any of the Republicans going to call? You know, Republicans ain't going to call in and talk how they feel, because it's one of their own. We ain't talking about the black ones, because, you know, they don't care about them anyway. Asking the Republicans how does it feel to call in is like asking them how's Grey Goose and cocaine after midnight. Now, they know the answer, but they ain't going to tell you. Yet they will probably ask you to try it, but not too close to your blood vessels and your blood pores. Because we don't want you to be looking like Freddie Jackson, little body and big head. And we also don't want you walking around here looking like Jeepers Creepers. Because once that dope kick in, your nostrils be gone. You'll be nosing it. Like them potholes on Capitol Drive and them baby caskets. So they know what's going on, but they ain't going to tell you. But ask them, how does Grey Goose and cocaine go together? And I'll hang up and listen and save your nose. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Always say no.
Hang on. Before you go, Al, hold on. Don't go yet. Hold on. I got a question. So how do you use Grey Goose and cocaine? So you drink the Grey Goose and then you snort the cocaine? Like, how do you...
Well, you know... some of them, they like to snort the cocaine and drink the Grey Goose. See, a lot of them, if they snort the cocaine, they can take a lot of pounding and a lot of pain, especially if, you know, they're a man or a woman or they're a power bottom, but they'll pay for it the next day. You know, the Grey Goose is just going to keep you inebriated. Like, I do Grey Goose, but I don't do no cocaine because I am the drug. And I hope you listeners are the drug.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Have a great day.
All right,
Bye-bye.
You too, Al. That was very informative. I don't know what he meant by that, but he explained it because I was confused. If I'm confused, maybe there's somebody listening to my program that's also confused. And what I like to do is I like to clear up confusion. Okay? All right. I bet Al has two destinations when he gets on a train or any kind of transportation. First is Pound Town, and then the other place. This is a new place I just heard about. Ricky, you want to hear about it? It's a new place I just heard.
No, I don't want to hear about it.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Well, I don't care. I'm going to tell you.
Why do you want to tell me something that I don't want to know?
I don't care. I don't even know why I asked you. It actually was something that I saw on the internet. I got to stop paying attention to the internet.
You do.
I know.
You too old for that.
There's people older than me on the internet.
What you want to tell me, Sherwin?
It's two destinations.
And what are the destinations?
First is Pound Town.
Why did I...
And the second destination is the Burlington Throat Factory. You got to go to the Burlington Throat Factory first.
This how you want to spend your last 50 seconds?
This has been a long week. This is my first week back. It was good to be back.
You had an Al moment.
You don't think that's funny, the Burlington Throat Factory? That's hilarious to me.
I find it funny, but you wanted to tell me that joke so bad.
Actually, for the last couple of days, but I had to figure out the right time to tell it. There's a lot of heavy stuff that went on this week. A lot of stuff. A lot of self-reflection, a lot of free speech commentary. And look at all the people laughing in the YouTube chat.
Thank God.
Two destinations for y'all. Pound Town and the Burlington Throat Factory.
Do you go to Pound Town?
Well, of course.
Don't answer that.
Of course I do. But I'm usually the one driving the vehicle. Thank you guys so much for the well wishes, and thank you for having me back this week. Have a wonderful weekend.
Come in with straight truth.
And to make matters even worse, Truth Nation, when you look at more numbers, there have been 59 children shot in the city of Milwaukee, and